Oh, hello everybody. Welcome back to Dumb Fekk Friday. I'm not happy to be here because I do not like that this is a stream that seems to take place every week. However, I'm beginning to resign myself to the fact that that may be the case. You'll notice my screen is blank because I needed to warn you all that I'm not in dark mode, so it's going to be very bright when I pull this up. Fair warning. I wanted to get this one out here because I think what we're going to talk about is very apropos to me mentioning I was going to talk about this Friday. So we are going to do a little pony hop of gears here and say this person essentially was saying, Red's rhetoric had said, you may think there's nothing wrong with misogyny, ableist rhetoric, or homophobic attacks. That does not change the fact that these things exist and have definitions that one can easily find with a simple Google search. This person responded with, those things you described do not actually exist. A decade-long campaign of propaganda had simply programmed you to think so. Enjoy battling the crashing waves of the ocean for Caligula. Tell me how that ends for you. So why don't we take a look and check out some ableism that exists. For anybody who, as a child, was traumatized by the amount of red that a teacher would mark off on your on your papers, this is going to be to let you know trigger warnings for that. But also, if you are somebody who is vulnerable and will be hurt by things like this, as Katie Daisy likes to say, nobody's going to take care of your mental health like you do, so please, if you need to click off, feel free. If you want to stick it through, props to you. So, it's going to get read real fast. That's a lot. So, as much as I am saddened of my resigned acceptance that Dumb Fekk Friday seems to be a weekly show, we're going to talk about Nate again. That was fast. And I'm now just shifting my hope as I slowly slide down the insanity bar. I hope that Nate will not be a monthly segment on his own, though I'm not even tentatively optimistic about it. I'm not happy about this. I hate everything. All of this is garbage. Yes, and Intrigued Feline says, sorry, not sorry. And, you know, it's fine. Sure, I forgot to turn the chat box back on. You should be able to see you guys now. Hopefully. Did it work? Chat box? Chat box, you there? Chat box? See if that works now. Okay, so Intrigued Feline, this deserves to be applauded on its own. This is a lot of work that was put in here, and props to this. I thought it deserved a shout out on its own. Nate, your response is severely misguided and contain outright falsehoods, and there is a severe lack of evidence. Read my response to your post below. To Emily Baker, I would like you to read this as well, seeing as you have promoted him when he is being dishonest. So let's take a look. What I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to try and read through what Nate's original post was, and then we're going to try and break it down. So, this is a response to all the messages I have received regarding Katie Joy Paulson, the harassment restraining order against the cult leader and Katie Joy Paulson harasser Steve McRae. Katie Joy Paulson was a friend of mine. Was a friend of mine. Steve McRae has a long history of harassing women online and holding fake fundraisers to get money from the community. There are many women who have told me and others that they fear Steve McRae because of his harassment. Steve then began harassing Katie Joy Paulson. Katie Joy Paulson is no angel by any means, but put without a crystal ball in the search bar and see for yourself. This fact doesn't give Steve the right to legally harass her and her child. Steve's harassment of Katie Joy Paulson was insane. Facebook hate groups, phone calls, text messages talking about her kid, releasing her home address, and much more. The judge found that there was an immediate and present danger of harassment by Steve and stopped his harassment. I read it through the line. Hey, Judge checked this, and there's a screenshot of there's a XX1. This is from the submission by Katie. There are reasonable grounds to believe that respondent, being Steve, has engaged in harassment which has or intended to have substantial adverse effects on safety, security, or privacy of the petitioner, who is Katie, or minor children or wards of petitioner by committing the following acts. Steve, after seeing the mountain of evidence against him, Steve went to Katie and struck a deal. He would restrain himself for a year if she dropped the HRO. Harassment restraining order is HRO. They struck a deal, and the HRO was dismissed by mutual agreement. The harassment stopped. Justice. Now Steve tells Katie Joy Paulson haters that all the evidence was bullshit and that there was never a restraining order, both lies. Steve saw the evidence, and rather than show a neutral third party, judge, that it was bullshit, he declined. Why? Because it was legit and he knew that he would likely lose at the hearing. To the Katie Joy Paulson haters, I apologize to you. You are not part of the Steve cult. This is bolded. All I ask is that you look at the documents and evidence before siding with the abuser and harasser. I don't want your trust. I want you to look at it yourself. Blaming the victim of a serial harasser is horrible, just like blaming a rape victim for wearing a short skirt. Steve had his chance to say the evidence was bullshit. He chose not to. You now have the court documents and all the information that, why is all capitalized, that I have on the illegal harassment and RO. This is the extent of my involvement. If Steve is manipulating a bunch of streamers to bully and go real life on some YouTubers, I know nothing about it. I don't even know if this accusation is true, and I do not believe it until someone provides evidence. Hope this clear it all up. Huzzah! Sorry, I'm just catching up on chat here. Let's take a look at what Feline had marked off here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit further, and we're going to zoom around, so fair warning for anybody who's... I'm going to try and move it slowly so nobody gets sick. This is a response to all the messages I have received regarding Katie Joy Paulson and the harassment restraining order against the cult leader. Crossed out, claim, who without evidence number 1, not a cult leader of any kind, and Katie Joy Paulson harasser. Claim without evidence number 2. So far, there has been no evidence put forward that demonstrates that Steve has harassed Katie. Katie Joy Paulson was a friend of mine. Steve, I might call a little bit of a question mark into that. Question mark, but, whatever. Steve has a long history of harassing women online. Claim number 3, without evidence. No history has been put forth either. There has been a long history of harassment against Steve. Correct. Holding fake fundraisers. Claim number 4, without evidence. There was only one fraudulent fundraiser. Steve did not host it and hardly, if at all, promoted it. To get money from the community, there are many women... claim number 4, without evidence, who are, I think we're on number 5, actually. Claim number 5, oh no, there's a number mess up. Claim number 5, without evidence, who are these women, where are they, where is their story? All these many women that Steve has harassed, who have told me and others they fear Steve because of his harassment. Steve then began harassing Katie Joy Paulson. Claim number 6, without evidence. Steve merely defended himself from comments made by Katie Joy Paulson directed to Steve. Is defending from serious allegations by Katie Joy Paulson harassment? I don't think so. Katie Joy Paulson is no angel by any means. Just put without a crystal ball in the search bar and see for yourself. Or demonstrate your claims yourself. Typical flat earth argument when you make a claim and then state the evidence is out there. Put up or shut up. I agree. President 99 for 666. Hope hope simultaneously the source of our greatest strength and yet our greatest weakness. But to give hope to stop talking about Nate, absolutely wasted. Rip. Rip. AT2 also says, was a friend of mine, so he's trying to distance from her without actually doing so, like any sane, rational person would. This fact, what fact? Go with the Jimmy Snow argumentation. Be specific. Oh my god, the Jimmy Snow mic drop? Really? The Jimmy argumentation. Be specific. This fact. Which fact are you talking about? Yeah. Does not give Steve the right to illegally harass her and her child. Claim without evidence number 7. Steve did not harass her nor her child. Steve's harassment, just crossed out, of Katie Joy Paulson was insane. Claim number 8, without evidence. If the evidence was insane, then where is all of it? So far, not shown anything. Facebook hate groups, which goes over here. Claim number 9, demonstrate they were hate groups. Note, there are safe spaces to document Katie Joy Paulson. Or they are, sorry. Phone calls, text messages talking about her kid, of releasing her home address, and much more. This goes over here, I think. Where? This is all blocked. I think this is all part of this. Oh, here it is. No, that is not. This is a little bit difficult to read. No, that is not how these legal oh, wait, no, that goes to this. This goes to this. This is boxed off. It is part of this, I guess. Oh, here we go. Oh, it's right here. Claim without evidence number 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Put up or shut up. Where is all of this so-called evidence? Note, I did see the supported evidence Katie Joy Paulson wanted to file, and it is garbage. The judge found that there was an immediate and present danger of harassment by Steve and stopped his harassment. Claim number 14, I think we're on 15 actually. No, that is not how these legal proceedings work. You as a lawyer should know that. It is a TRO that was given, which is pretty much always given out, as judges do not want to be held culpable when they did not give one out. There is a really low threshold for the TRO. One only has to allege facts as per section 609.748 subdivision 3A. Claim 14, which is actually 15, I believe. Steve, after seeing the mountain of evidence against him, speculative and also false. Most evidence that Katie Joy Paulson provided had nothing to do with Katie Joy Paulson, and the bits that did were not by Steve. That's actually also been shown on YouTube over on Erin's channel, EKC People Suck. So if you wanted to see that, I was on with her. We were looking through some of it a while ago, actually. Steve went to Katie and struck a deal. Claim number 16. It was actually the other way around. Why would Steve then ask for a hearing in the first place? Correct. That would make no sense. He would restrain himself for a year if she dropped the HRO. This has a kernel of truth to it, but is a half-truth. You're leaving out that Katie Joy Paulson was also bound by that NDA. Notice that Katie Joy Paulson now started to do more and new allegations. They struck a deal and the HRO was dismissed by mutual agreement. The harassment stopped. The harassment by Katie Joy Paulson directly stopped. Now Steve tells the Katie Joy Paulson haters that all the evidence was bullshit. This goes down here. The evidence provided was and is bullshit. Have you even seen it? You would have to twist and wrap a lot of it to even come close to what it is purported to be when it is not. And there never was a restraining order. There is legally a distinct difference between a temporary restraining order and a restraining order. In the Minnesota statutes, it has different subdivisions. Paragraph section 609.748, this has been explained to you, and you should already know this as a lawyer. This is dishonest. That I'm not sure. This is dishonest something. I'm not sure. Feline, if you're in the chat, please, if you don't mind telling me what this is supposed to say. I'm just not 100% sure. Pursang, Pursang, I think, but I'm not familiar with what that term is. Dishonesty pursang. I don't know what that is. Both lies. Steve saw the evidence, and rather than show a neutral third-party judge that it was bullshit, he declined. He requested a hearing, so no, he did not decline. Why? Because it was legit, and he knew that he would likely lose at the hearing. Claim number 17 without evidence. Further speculation and false. Steve's lawyer advised him to agree to an NDA as it would set them up for a better pending defamation case that Katie Joy Paulson was planning to file. Having this continue would allow info of it to be used in the defamation case. Steve did not want that. That is why you're deliberately painting Steve as in a bad light here. Actually, that also goes into that this was not in, like, none of this was in the NDA. The NDA actually said it is getting dropped as per pending litigation. So that's actually, you'd think as a lawyer he would have actually read the NDA, and if he couldn't read it, it's been read out loud multiple times, so he could have somebody read it to him. To the Katie Joy Paulson haters, I apologize to you. You are not part of the Steve cult. All I ask is that you look at the documents and evidence before siding with the abuser and harasser. I don't want your trust. I want you to look at it yourself. Most of them have looked at it, and all of them have their own history with Katie Joy Paulson. They know that Katie Joy Paulson has a history of lying. I advise you to look at the subreddit r without a crystal ball. Blaming the victim of a serial harasser is horrible, just like blaming the rape victim for wearing a short skirt. Steve had his chance to say the evidence was bullshit. He chose not to. Claim without evidence number 18 and false attribution and false equivalence. You have not demonstrated that Steve is even a harasser, let alone a serial harasser, merely making the accusations. This has nothing to do with the apologetics like you purport it to be. Steve still has his chance to demonstrate it. That is part of why this case is even here. He chooses to fight Katie Joy Paulson. Yeah, no, that's a totally fair point. There's an entire thing. Like, you want to talk about harassment? Look at Nate's timeline. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Don't worry too much. You now have the court documents and all of the information that I have on the legal harassment and RO. Where you did not include a single piece of evidence here. Again, just bare assertions, which is another fallacy, by the way. You presented nothing. Did you just, it's fucking nothing him? I think you did. Oh, sorry, yeah, no, you're correct. Per se is pure and simple, being such beyond a doubt or of the utmost degree. Oh, I've never seen it. Okay, so per se I do recognize. Typed that way, I didn't recognize it as Pursang. I thought that was a different term. I learned something today. I learn something almost every day doing this nonsense. This is the extent of my involvement. If Steve is manipulating a bunch of streamers to bully and go real life on some YouTubers, I know nothing about it. I don't know if this accusation is true, and I do not believe it until someone has provided evidence. Your involvement has been more extensive than you're letting on here. You injected yourself in another lawsuit that Steve has. You even helped him, and we have evidence and an eyewitness of that. You are also much more involved in this, as you have been helping Katie Joy Paulson spreading the falsehoods of Steve being a harasser. You have been spreading falsehoods about Steve ever since before the initial lawsuit with Katie Joy Paulson over a year ago now. Hope this is all cleared up. If it is clear, what? Oh, it is clear that, sorry, it is clear that you have been dishonest about everything whenever Steve is directly or indirectly involved. Nate, I expect you to demonstrate each and every single one of the claims that you have made here in detail. You call yourself a lawyer, and you may even have a degree, but your actions show you are rather inept as one. Yay! That was a lot. Okay. So now that we've gone through that, we know exactly what's being said and what the claims are and what's been going on. Let's actually take a look at what Feline said in the rest of her things. I'm actually going to, you notice I've got my headphones on, I'm actually going to call in some assistance, because not only was that already just a lot to read through on its own for dumb fuckery, but it just gets worse. So, grab your drinks, grab your popcorn. I'm calling in some assistance here. Let me just jump right over. Hello, Claire. Hello?
Hello?
Oh my god, please send help.
Please send help up here. I
Hello.
don't always get to wear a cape, but when I do, it's a good day.
This is, okay, I think this is the first time I've had a guest on Dumb Fekk Friday, and I'm not gonna lie, I appreciate
Listen, this is a lot. This has so much, I don't know. I don't want to get you demonetized, but there's some
don't worry about it.
There's some damn dumb fuckery going on here, Chesh. This is beyond. Like, this is just walking right into it with both their feet. I can't believe an adult would actually approach something this way.
Yeah, no doubt.
I was shocked, and I don't get shocked. I'm used to seeing them being quite nonsensical about things, but this was too much, actually. This was too much.
Yeah, because it gets really bad, like, as if whatever this nonsense that he's saying about Steve and Katie Joy, as if it's not completely wrong in the first place, is going and using his authority as a lawyer to try and make things, like, dishonestly represent what's gone on in a case, because he's got a hate boner for Steve. But to go after Feline, who basically just got fact-checked. That's basically what just happened.
Right. And he should actually use it, he could have went point for point. He could have been professional about it.
He could have if he actually had anything.
Well, he could have, but I'm gonna grant a little grace, because he actually just did everything absolutely the worst way possible for a professional or someone who is a lawyer. Or
yeah.
At least that's what the ad says, right? Like, he's a lawyer. Okay.
Yeah.
I would expect better. I mean, maybe I'm naive. I've been called that before, but I'm stunned.
There's a lot. The thing is like, this is a lot of defamation on Steve if he can't show any of this, right?
It is. I mean, to actually go and actually act like he's gonna. First of all, he's using his profession to say that he absolutely knows what this says, right? He knows what this says, and he's gonna explain it to everybody that this is what it says, and you should all believe him, and this is why nobody knows what they're talking about. But he still refuses to acknowledge the cold fact that it's a temporary restraining order. They want to nitpick words that Steve has said. Steve never said it wasn't a temporary restraining order. All he keeps saying is that a actual restraining order never got put into place, because it didn't, because the NDA interfered with that process. He asked for a hearing, which he's entitled to under Minnesota. Which
is completely left out, by the way. You notice that Nate completely left out the fact that Steve is the one who asked for a hearing.
Right. Why would you ask for a hearing if you think the evidence is moot? Because when Steve got served, whatever, he got all of the stuff that she said, and he got to look at it. It's not like he didn't know. If he requested the hearing because he knew it was total bullshit. We request the hearing, which stops the process. The temporary is there because it's a good law. They're trying to say, because there's a good law, that Katie Joy obviously had an issue here, and Steve is obviously guilty, because there needs to be a law to protect other people.
Yeah, it can't be the case that Katie Joy is taking advantage of
Oh no, no, because evidence would
rules that are
say
in place.
Katie Joy would never do anything like that. And if anybody knows that Katie Joy actually does do stuff like that on a daily basis, it's Nate. He
Well, they
doesn't
were
even.
friends. Apparently, he should know very damn well, right?
Yeah, he's convenient. He's saying that now, but
Were
where's the
friends,
bit?
implying
Yeah,
that they aren't friends now. Which I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna put a big question mark on that and be like, are you though? Are you still
are
friends with Kyle?
yeah,
Are you still friends
yeah.
with Jimmy? You sure do show up on his channel, The Line, a lot with all those people. Funny that.
I know. Okay, it gets bigger. It gets bigger as we go.
All right, let's take a look and see. Because I mean, right now, as of right now, you've got The Line and the people on The Line and Jimmy Snow supporting Nate, who is currently
Right.
engaging in some horrendous behavior, which
He
we
is,
still haven't even gotten to the worst of it.
right. And intrigue brings a very valid point up, which
Mhm.
the evidence, the actual evidence that Nate is referring to, didn't even come into play yet.
Correct. Yeah.
So for him to say that Steve like saw it and then just ran for an agreement is like malarkey. It's just bull.
Well,
And he wasn't the one. Like maybe he should talk to his friend about whose lawyer went to who to request the meeting for this NDA that got put in place.
Well,
right.
I mean, and yeah, Steve has offered for anybody who does want to see the emails that he's had back and forth with his lawyer, who's honest about wanting to know what went on, can DM or message him about that. Now, I'm not sure if that still stands now because of current litigation. That might not be currently available. Right. It might be available later. You'd have to ask Steve. But I can say that in the interim time before there, because keep in mind, Steve said and did his update that he said he was going to do, right? After the NDA was over. He's like, listen, I'm going to give everybody an update. I'm going to tell you guys exactly what had happened, and then I won't have to talk about anything anymore. But I think it's only fair that you guys know what had happened. He wrote just a factual document of what has happened, and Katie lost it and just started talking shit all over the place all over again. And all he did was say, hey, here's the NDA, here's what happened, that's it. And it was a blog, it wasn't even a video.
It wasn't even a video, and it's just, you can't, you see, he has the evidence. He's not afraid to show. And Katie shouldn't be afraid. I mean, obviously she is afraid to show. I don't see her going out there showing what she submitted.
Oh, and you know that there's no way that Nate has that evidence that he's saying does or does not exist, right? Like when he's saying that, oh, Steve ran to go get the NDA because you know that Steve had offered to show those emails, and you know that he would not have talked to Nate about it because Nate behaves like this, so why would he?
Yeah, because he would have been able to match up here, Exhibit A, B, C, to confirm everything. But actually, if you look at Exhibit A, B, C, D, they do not correlate to the fact that she's saying.
And we looked at that stuff over on Aaron's channel. Like, it's there, it's public.
Absolutely. Claim to evidence that she is providing, and they don't match up. And it's like the twisting of words. It is trying to actually it was selling a narrative. There's just nothing about it. It was like just twisting every word you could to fill that narrative. I hate that word, but in this case, it is the best word to describe what she was actually doing. It's like, you know, what is that word you term, that legal term, when you got to go gather the evidence for something you're already claiming after the fact to try to make it look like what happened.
Yeah, you're trying to retroactively put stuff in.
All right, because a judge isn't here on YouTube. You know, anybody looking at that as a lay person is not going to know that when she says the word room, it's not actual physical presence. This was manipulative. It, you know, for the law is there for people that really need the protection. And the only reason, like, it really got to me. Like, I mean, I
she's
came out
abusing
when
it,
Amber Heard did it, but for Katie to do it too, and to do it so blatantly, it's just, you can't just sit there and be quiet. You cannot be quiet about it. You cannot. If she was an actual victim, then why is she still adding him and talking about him? If you are a victim and you feel harassed,
Why are you
then
trying
don't
to get him
engage.
to go into private DMs with him? Yep. Ash
Yeah.
Scott makes a good point and says, what I don't get is they're still talking about our TRO from over a year ago as if it's evidence against Steve, but they're not talking about the fact that Steve is currently suing her. Yeah, the people that were asking Nate were asking them about, weren't really asking him about the restraining order. I'd be willing to wager they were probably asking him about the current litigation.
And I wonder the motives here. Why is he putting this out there? He knows it's going to get pulled apart. Like, what was this end game here? People are asking him for honesty. You know what? That's what I mean. That's it's damaging to them at this point if they don't. And I don't want to be
curious to see if a lawyer. I'm curious to see if a lawyer running around on Twitter and on YouTube who has 3 or 4 times the following that Steve does, writing something like this, pushing KJ's lies, if that ends up working against them in court.
Yeah, to me as a layperson,
Nate's actually just helping out Steve the whole time. It was a giant bait and switch.
It is. He's actually. That's what it looks like to me.
This is Unirock all over again. He's actually helping Steve by bringing Kyle on to talk. Look, this is going to be over. Steve's going to win both of his lawsuits, and then Nate and Unirock are going to get onto a stream and be like, Steve should be thanking us for all the hard work we did to help him out.
That would be the only truthful they've said in like 19 months that I've heard. No, that would actually, I would respect that if they actually came out and just said, it was all a big joke. We really are that ridiculous. We really don't know what the hell is going on. And we were just going with it because it's funny. Because at this point, it is so ridiculous. You have to laugh at it because it is just, my blood pressure would be through the roof.
Feline is trying to correct me, saying it's libel, not slander, because it's written defamation and slander spoken defamation. The answer is that it's both, because he talks about and writes about Steve, so...
Well, at least we don't have legal degrees, and we're not out there making fools of ourselves with it, with the bad use of the legal language. At least, we're not claiming to be lawyers, or being professional about what this document actually says or doesn't say.
Well, yeah, I actually read through, so for anybody who is curious about the NDA and what was in the affidavit that Katie submitted, I actually did a video about that, which you actually see gets featured in these Twitter threads. So let's actually go through it and see where this thread actually goes. So Feline had posted this, now that we've gone through it, and Nate, your response is severely misguided and contain outright false hoods, and there's a severe lack of evidence. Read my response to your post below to Emily Baker. I would like you to read this as well, seeing you promoted him when he is being dishonest.
Right.
Emily, does a proper lawyer conduct himself in such a way to make a lot of egregious claims without presenting evidence? Does a proper lawyer get basic legal proceedings entirely wrong? Does a proper lawyer inject himself in cases outside of his jurisdiction? Please look into it. And I am sorry that I do have to tag you in this, but Nate is using his affiliation with you and his profession as a way to exercise authority, which is what we talked about, as he can do no wrong. He is using this position to commit the argument from authority fallacy. If you want, I can talk you through. To me, the legal process is incredibly fascinating, and I have a background in it. What Nate is doing, in my view, is a gross abuse to the legal system, and it devalues the profession of a lawyer. Mic drop?
Yeah, mic drop, because she's absolutely right. Any lawyer reading that and seeing the misconceptions or the pushing of that narrative would have an issue with it as representation.
Well, as if the legal system isn't confusing enough for lay people anyway, right?
Right. And I would think that you would want to protect your reputation in a way and not represent yourself this way on Twitter. I mean, yeah, it's Twitter and it's to be expected, but he's using that tag, the lawyer, the whole time, and he is a professional lawyer. And with that comes some responsibility. And this, at the bare minimal, was irresponsible. It was misrepresentation and irresponsible as a professional. In
Well,
my
it's
opinion.
it's harmful because this is to me. This isn't just harmful to Steve. This is harmful to other victims and people
Hmm.
who are getting ROs and TROs and potentially people like Amber Heard who have abused the system. This
Right.
is enabling people to abuse the system, making things far, far, far more difficult for people in the future. This is an issue of you're misrepresenting things in a way. You're misrepresenting how NDAs work. You're misrepresenting how the system, you're potentially damaging people down the line who
Hmm.
try to use the system in the way that you're presenting it because it doesn't work that way, right?
No, and it is like you got to wonder why, because I doubt very much that this whole thing was in support of just Katie Joy. To me, it just seems a little more obvious that it's trying to get some reaction.
Well, I've seen them
So
kind of talk about this before. They support Kyle not to support Kyle because they give a shit about Kyle or they care about the issues. They supported Kyle because fuck Steve. It's the same thing here. They don't actually support Katie Joy. He doesn't actually give two shits about victims here. He doesn't fucking
mhm.
care. He just wants to fuck Steve.
And that just totally supports as a person from somewhat on the outside. I'm not in their circle on any of this on either
Right.
side. And it looks like they just use this to anything they possibly can. It's all got to go back to why are they mad at Steve? I think they forget why they actually are. I think they're so bent on pushing that point because nobody is agreeing with them that that's a valid reason to just, burn this person at the stake for the rest
Right.
of his
You
life.
could, if you
For
took the
what?
name Steve out of this, if you
Right.
removed Steve from the situation, do you think Nate would have written this the way he did?
No,
And so that's a
because
problem.
that's a problem because he's not that good a friend of Katie. He has not supported her in this manner anyway through this whole thing in 2 years.
This
I've
is
been
hard.
watching. He has
This,
not.
I will
Mm-mm.
stand by that. I believe that writing this was harmful for KJ.
I think it is because it makes anything that he says in support of her look asinine now.
Oh, that too, yeah.
Especially, yeah, yeah, because she can't even say, "Well, look at this respectable lawyer that actually agrees with me." Because no, you need to actually act like a respectable lawyer out there and present yourself that way to have that be the common opinion. And I know people are going to come at us and say, well, you just don't know. No, I can read. I know. I've been reading for 2 years. Like, I know. Yeah.
I learned to read 2 years ago. I got this.
Yeah, no. Like, I've read most of everything that they put out there. And I'm just,
Right.
if anything, they are making it worse for themselves daily.
This is just like, let's just show my whole ass, right? OPT
And
lawyer
it's ugly. It's
said
ugly.
this is why I refuse to appear on stream with him. If I am on a panel and he comes on, I leave. And he is like the only person I do that for because he's another lawyer who should know better. I can't support a lawyer this dishonest. And that's from somebody who's actually a lawyer.
And actually a lawyer in the profession and was like, no, like, here's the thing. Even if Nate thinks all this and feels all that, it shouldn't have put it out there like that.
There's ways to do that. There's ways that you
Yeah.
can take. There are certainly things you can criticize Steve on. There are ways that you could go after Steve, and things that you could write up and do blogs on or whatever, and have it be completely acceptable. But this is not the way to go about it. At the bottom left, I stated, even if you helped him. The him refers to not Steve, but to the other party. Felines explained they were referring to Kyle. Nate is very dishonest. I can't support him in any way. Likewise, this is a brilliant response. I also can't support him. You took to the time to do what I could not with this, and in a clearer and better way than I ever could. Good job. That's why I wanted to feature this. This deserved attention. But look who it is!
Oh, wait. Did you bring up translators so we could actually read this?
Oh, hold on. Let me get those running.
Well, yeah, because
Unfortunately, I haven't reset it since I updated my computer. I haven't reset up my soundboard, so I don't have has a psychological problem with women to dump in.
I know. No, I'm just saying we need a translator. Every time I see one of his tweets, I go into just like a gramophobic fit. Like I actually have a seizure here. It's just like, oh God.
So Menace to Sobriety says, because of course he did you do this? You gotta be smarter than to state that the partitioner files out restraining orders. yeah, ellipses, that sheet that said, quote, the court finds, end quote. You failed with this. Also, the evidence you mentioned isn't there, was all released by Steve on social media. Then Nate ought to have linked to it.
Yes, he should. And they do realize that those boxes are automatically filled in there. There was no evidence provided at the time, so that box was filled in automatically to give it
all that
temporary.
stuff is filled in ahead of
Did you
time.
forget that part, Menace, where the law, it actually says that in the statute?
Menace
that
has a very convenient memory.
And he said he read all this too, but he kind of leaves out big paragraphs of it, and
also, all those claims without evidence are covered in the NDA that Steve signed acknowledging the HRO. So yeah, it's all covered in the evidence. Thanks, Steve.
Wait, how is agreeing to the NDA acknowledging an HRO?
It's not. It means that an HRO never happened. Because if you signed an NDA, it means that it was dropped, meaning that you could not go forward, meaning there would be no HRO at all.
Right. So here's the other problem, is that when they put this stuff out there, he's actually saying HRO, harassment restraining order, which was never granted. There was a TRO. Under any state, it's still a TRO before it actually gets, put into place. It's a TRO the whole damn time it existed until it didn't exist because of the other agreement. So you're just making yourself look dumb. Like you're trying to change the facts to fit what you're saying again, when you know damn well it was temporary the whole time. Like you've read the statutes, you've admitted that you read and you researched this. So you're either just purposely being stupid to try to mislead other people that you might think will side with you on this when they see your words, or you just don't even care what you write. Like you're not even reading it anymore.
Because fuck Steve.
That's it. It's like, at what point does that boner get so big you can't see straight? Like right now, it is like, I can't.
The whole thing was ex parte, right? And as Feline points out, ex parte indicates that it's a TRO. And the thing is like, it's not an issue of Feline here splitting hairs. It's an issue of people like Menace and Katie Joy and Nate misrepresenting what portion of the laws they're talking about. Right? They're splitting hairs to try and paint somebody, because this doesn't matter that it was Steve. If they were doing this to somebody else, I would take the exact same issue. You remove Steve and Katie Joy and make it about exactly the same reason why I talked about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. False allegations are bullshit. They're against Me Too movements. They're problematic for victims, male and female, and people ought not to be crucified when there needs to be a process set in place, and people who abuse the process are garbage. Like, don't do that shit.
They're making the process harder to keep into place. They're making it harder for actual people who need it to get heard. When they misrepresent it this way, they're just muddying everything up, and yet they'll try to wear it like a shield, like, oh no, like we're for that movement. When you hijack it, you're not doing anyone that movement is really there to protect. You're doing them no favors whatsoever. You're being quite selfish, and you're actually damaging people. Like at this point, this kind of crap is very damaging for the process. A lawyer should know that. And really disappointed that a lawyer would be behind this and not even say anything when they're misrepresenting the title of it. They're misrepresenting what happened. And he's not saying, no, I have a point that maybe I feel he harassed her, but that's not what happened. That's not the legal process. At least stand up for what the actual legal process was.
Well, you think as a lawyer you might actually care what the legal process is.
Well, yeah, I hear what you're saying there, but I'm still, because, I have never contracted his services, so I do not feel qualified to say he's a shit lawyer. Okay.
I don't know. I've never seen his work in a professional manner.
As a lawyer. So that could say two things. One, I don't even know if he's really a lawyer because I have no real personal evidence of it.
I don't either. I have no idea.
All right. And then two, I've never contracted him as a lawyer, so I can't tell you what kind of lawyer personally that he is. I'm just going by what I read and what he represents.
All I know is that Steve says that he has seen evidence that Nate is a lawyer, and unfortunately, Steve is apparently always a liar, so I can't believe him.
Well, but I'm going to believe him because I don't think Steve, you know what, Steve does, if
I'll believe
Steve
him.
does stuff that
Steve's full
pisses
of shit.
everybody at some point for something, right? But what he doesn't do, at least I haven't caught him in an actual outright lie. If he says the guy's a lawyer, we're going to just go with he's a lawyer. And then at that point,
I'm simply going with, yes, in this case, Steve's word alone carries a lot of weight to it. However, I'm comparing it, I'm grading it on a curve with how wrong Nate is all the time about obvious basic lawyer stuff. And I'm
well, that's the other thing. For 2 years, I've been watching him get called out on lawyer stuff. So why doesn't he see that that's like a little damaging to the profession or even to himself? Why doesn't he try harder to get it right? I mean, I know.
As Scott says, Steve's a pendant,
right?
and Steve thinks passing the bar makes you a lawyer.
Oh, well, yeah.
We're back to Steve's fault. Fuck Steve.
Yeah, here we go.
Feline said, and that evidence does not show what is claimed to be showing. Chesh went over this. Here's the link to my video. My video is, if you want to go watch it and see what Nate's talking about in more detail, I read through everything, so you can go and find that there. Golden Unicorn for 10 said, Nate using victims of DV and R to stroke his hate boner for Steve in front of his 5K Twitter and 100K YouTube followers and putting a target on Steve's back. Does that befit the position of a lawyer? ?
Yeah, one that's just doing a little PR stuff here and just trying to get his name out there a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. So we've got
profession. No, I mean.
Yeah. So we got Menace showing his ass on Twitter like usual, but
I don't think
Linda here.
You know what? In 18 months, I don't think he's pulled his pants up yet. His ass has been out here the whole time. I don't think he's pulled his pants up yet.
Linda here is over like, oh my god, did Steve send you? He has tried to get Emily's attention since the Tatty lawsuit. How desperate can you get? Rakita Law will be more suited for this if you absolutely has to have a lawyer's attention. He's from Minnesota. No, because of course anybody who's critical of what Nate's saying has to be doing it for Steve's sake, right? But here we go. This is where we get into the shenanigans. Nate responded and said, "Don't be a coward, show everyone you are right, or let me show everyone the evidence about Steve." Nate, nobody is stopping you from showing the evidence about Steve.
Evidence, right.
You do not need Feline to do that.
It's not about the evidence or whether Steve was right or wrong. It's about you putting bad lawyer facts out there and bad process.
Well, there's the bad lawyer facts, but there's also like the claims, right? Because that was intermittent, right?
Well, it's true. A little bit of libel.
Bad lawyer takes as well as claims about Steve that weren't backed up by evidence. So, but here it's implying, let me show everyone the evidence about Steve. So do it, motherfucker. Yeah. People have been waiting for years for you to show all your evidence against Steve, and you've never done it. Please make I don't care if it's like a 20-minute video, an hour-long video, make an hour-long concise video of what your grievance is, what your evidence is, and actually have it be something substantial that where your screenshot with context actually shows what you're saying it shows for once. That'd be amazing. Give us something to actually talk about.
Did I miss something? Did they actually come out with a video since the NDA has expired that showed the evidence and how valid it is? Have you seen that yet, Cheshire?
No, I haven't seen that. I also haven't seen a video that actually manages to debunk Red's Rhetoric's calumny and obloquy video about rape apologetics. So
we will never see that because that's iconic, and people should just watch that. Or just anybody who hasn't already watched, just watch that. And Here's
the tweet that he had said that he linked down. He said, he retweeted Feline and said, "I will debate you on this. Women harassed, fake fundraiser, Steve illegally harassed KJ." Although one of the funny comments I did see was as opposed to illegally harassed as opposed to legally harassed. HRO judges finding Steve is a harasser. Steve released her home address. Steve claimed a serial rapist is honorable. I will also bring evidence. This is how you shut up the cult.
No, this is how you take your red pen out. Women, there's only one. It was KJ. That's also doubtful. Fake fundraisers,
which has been shown to be false. Yeah.
Show us one fundraiser Steve ran. Go ahead. I'm waiting.
And then prove it was fake.
Time. I think I'm going to be here a long, long time. Harassed KJ. Well, there was some tit for tat about 2 years ago, and they both kind of sort of used Twitter and social media to get under each other's skin a little bit. If you want to call that harassment, the same kind of shit you're doing every goddamn day, okay, well, we could leave that word there. HRO, you must have made a typo because there's no HRO. Nate, it's a TRO, if anything. So what the hell's that? Judge finding Steve. I can't see it. It's under my unkind thing.
Oh, sorry.
Judge finding Steve. Wait, I got it. Illegal. Oh, wait, judge finding Steve is a harasser. No, he didn't. Why wouldn't they? Wait a minute. First of all,
how do you have an NDA and a judge at the same time?
The whole legal system dropped this issue for an NDA knowing that Steve is a harasser? Are you saying that the system is failing and that they let him just walk, that they called him a harasser, they accused him, they absolutely proved it in black and white, and then they let him go with signing an NDA? Now, that's just not smart, Steve. That's just not smart.
Doesn't sound like Steve is rich enough or something like that. That sounds like something a rich person would get away with.
Exactly. He must have paid everybody off or something. I don't know. Right. He's getting away with a lot of shit here. I don't know. He claimed a serial rapist is honorable. Oh my God, he had a conversation. You guys, did you want him on your channel or something? Is there some sour grapes here? I'm so tired of hearing this.
It's almost like they leave the context out of that statement. Weird.
Just the context. Maybe they should have. Oh God.
What did he say they were honorable about, Nate? Also, Steve released her home address. Where? When?
I think that was that was definitely not him. But I'm not going to bring any of those people up, but
there was an issue about it, I think, on the subreddit, if I'm not mistaken.
You know what?
No?
I was on the subreddit at time. Come talk to me, Nate. Let me show you all the clips. It wasn't Steve. You're going to get embarrassed. It was not Steve. Everybody has it documented. It wasn't Steve. Stop saying that. You look dumb. You look dumb. That's just dumb.
I will also bring evidence. This is how you shut up the cult. What cult?
I have a cult. I'm here to confess.
Welcome to the Goblin Cult, guys.
I don't know. It's either your Goblin Cult or it's my chocolate cult.
I like the chocolate cult. Can we do the chocolate cult? I like the chocolate cult better.
I did. I actually made a flyer and everything, and I admitted it because we all agreed that Steve isn't running. If he has a cult, he's running it really, really bad because none of us know about it.
We all voted him out as our cult leader.
To the meetings. We don't know what we're supposed to be doing. We don't have like a uniform that we're supposed to be. Apparently, if you know Steve or you've even oh God, I had him on my channel once. Oh my God, I must be in a cult. Oh my God, I talk to him on Twitter occasionally, and we might follow each other. I like the tweet, Chesh. Lock me up. Shit. I like the damn tweet.
You
oh my
monster.
God. I am, and so we fired him as the cult leader. I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, and we started
fired
the
Steve.
Cult.
We also fired Steve of his own cult too, and we voted, and Burger King is our new cult leader. I'll have Burger King.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Golden Unicorn for 5 said that's abusing his position on YouTube and validating harassment of person he targets. Haven't seen Nate target anyone so blatantly and dishonestly on his socials. There's a thing here, right? There's this bit where he says that blaming the victim of a serial harasser is horrible, but he's blaming Steve for basically suing KJ for what he's suing her for. I'll take a bet. Yep. I will bet money. I will bet real life paper money that Steve wins.
You know what? I can't even take the opposite of that bet. I'll just help you with betting against anybody. That
we're gonna use the fundraiser money to bet. Make a pot. But the thing is that this is the thing that I find confusing to me. It's I will debate you on this. Debate you on what? Feline fact-checked you and said, hey, you're making these claims without any evidence. Where's your evidence? And you're like, I'll debate you. Mm-hmm. They're not taking a position in this case. They're saying, hey, I've fact-checked you. You didn't present for this shit. Present for this shit. You don't do that in a debate. You do that in your own video or your own write-up and explain your points in detail, yada, 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 yada. Then you can debate about it. You can debate after you've presented that part. You can have a debate about, like, hey, like you said, does KJ and Steve going tit for tat on YouTube and social medias count as harassment? You can have that conversation. That can be a debate, but you have to agree on terms and then set up a debate. But this is not a debate situation. This is an Xbox. No. This is a 12-year-old on Xbox Live saying, "Fight me IRL." That's what this is.
Right. And then he could have just looked at what she was saying and maybe came and just said, I don't agree. We can discuss it, further. Or he could do like we're going to do right now, because Intrigue is correcting us that the HRO is actually the classification for the term. So me saying that, because HRO was my understanding that was a harassment restraining order, but she's saying, no, it's the classification. And so that the TRO and the RRO are in that classification. So he may not be
he's umbrella. It's the umbrella term for.
So let me show you how to be like a grown-up and a professional here, Nate. Like when something like that happens, here am I correcting to say perhaps you may be using HRO correctly.
I don't like that he's using HRO interchangeably in different settings.
No, because that just happened after the NDA. They've never used HRO that I saw. It was always RO. And I think they're trying to brag in the other tweets of Katie where she has filed actual HROs, harassment restraining orders recently.
And on top of, even in this, he's using it interchangeably, right?
Yeah. So it is confusing. But if I am incorrect, I take the hit because I'm going to go with Intrigue, who actually has researched it. And I'm going to bow to what says that.
Oh, I agree. Correctly. I agree. The clarification is perfect. We'll correct ourselves. But now it makes me think that instead of that he's doing this thing over here, I think he's now doing this thing over here.
Yeah, but you know what? That won't get clipped. Only the part where we said the HRO was used incorrect. That'll get clipped. That'll get to Twitter, but not where we corrected. That won't. Because context, they don't know that word.
So, surprise, surprise, what we run into here is at Modern Day Debates. You down to host
you mean it gets worse?
Exclamation mark. It gets worse.
Yeah.
So, for anybody who's not familiar with Modern Day Debates is not a debate channel in that you get time and you get time. Modern Day Debates is not a technical sort of more official. You get 10 minutes, then you get 10 minutes, then you get 5 minutes, then you get 5 minutes. It's not that structured. It's far less structured. It's more like the wrestling matches of debate streams, where it's like if you yell, it's all interrupting. There's almost no moderation. If you can talk more, then you win. But it's far more akin to a wrestling match. But there's another issue here, and the other issue is, these are not debate topics. You're stating this as a fact. Show it as a fact. That's not a debate issue. You don't have it. A debate does not deem whether or not something is moral or immoral or necessarily correct or not correct. A debate is just presents who's better at argumentation. All right.
Yep,
so when you try to distill down something this egregious and this reprehensible into let's debate me, bro, you're doing a disservice to what's actually been going on.
No, I agree with that 100%.
Oh, of course you see Prolib in here. Oh, hey, look, it's Holy Spackle, the one that showed up to harass Steve over on his channel. Hey, I'd like to hear Feline speak. I am mostly convinced Feline is somebody else. Nope, Feline is Feline.
Wait, and what does that have anything to do with what's going on here?
You're dodging the point. Even if Feline is someone else, why does it matter? Address the point. She has spoken on, well, we don't know that. Don't assume gender. Spoken on stream with Chesh in the past. I think they looked at the Non Sequitur showcase together. Feline was on an episode of That Time of the Month once.
Right. And what does it matter?
Feline, I have your tweet. We'll get there. Yes?
On YouTube, she's an intrigued feline. On Twitter,
Or
she's
he.
an
We don't know.
intrigued feline. What?
Or we don't know.
Okay.
Do you know? I don't know.
No,
Maybe
I don't
you
know. I don't know. I just know that that's their name on Twitter. That's their name on YouTube. And it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. They put it out there as that. And why are they skating the issue? I would like them to stick to the issue. The tweet.
Thank you, Nate. It would be so easy for you to join the hate wagon and turn on basic legal principles and processes, regardless of if I like someone. Respect the legal system, people. Yeah, Nate.
No.
What? I don't know how people give up their morals. I would be ashamed for people to know I supported Steve McRae, especially because he says stuff like this about an armed rapist. This is a 30-second clip. I'm not even going to play the clip. We've been over this so many times.
Do you think this is like right there on his desktop? It just sits there and twirls the whole time so they can just bring it out? And...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, but you know what the sad part is? Is this is all they have. It's 2 years.
Because this has nothing to do with this.
At all.
They're not addressing what was said, right? I mean, everyone is getting off track and clogging attorneys' inboxes with totally irrelevant videos and screenshots. Perhaps a lesson in relevant evidence would be nice from you. What? This is what he's doing. How do you get this? How do you get Nate bringing up something that is Nate being completely dishonest about what's going on in a legal sense, to thanks for not dropping your morals to shit on Steve, to yeah, I don't know how people give up their morals as he's doing that thing, and he brings up something completely irrelevant, and the person says thanks for staying on track. My brain exploded.
No, you know what? Because it just shows that is the only track that they can be on. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's just the hate Steve train.
It doesn't matter what happens anymore. It doesn't matter if there's evidence. Truth doesn't matter. Facts don't matter. Evidence doesn't matter. They are stuck in this track. I don't know. I'm not inclined. I really wish I didn't, but I'm starting to feel a little sorry for this. To be stuck that way, that's the only thing you see.
I just like what an idiot try to imagine, like, if you ask them the trolley problem, it's like, hey, listen, all of the most horrible people that have killed thousands of people are on one track, and Steve McRae is on the other track. Do you pull the lever? Kill Steve!
What does
Mussolini? Fine, get Steve. More important.
Yeah, I get it. You know, let's just put it right here. Yes, he had a conversation. Yes, he had that conversation. Yes, he talked to him. And you know what? Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. You got the clip. Obviously, he said what you think he said that you want to be. You don't want to play what he said before it. You don't want to play whatever. That's just fine. Yeah,
you don't want to play the context. Yep.
What does that have to do with this? What does that have to do with any of it?
Completely.
Because in that case, I'm sure there are things in Nate's past that could be blown up this way. And would he like to be judged as a professional and the future that he's built for himself based on something like that?
Would you want me to take the clip of him race baiting that we talked about last time we were on here, or pull the clip of the time that he said that somebody could not be a victim of assault because their skin color was too light?
Yeah, because it couldn't happen to them because they could pass. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, do you want to pull up those and bring them up every single time Nate tries to talk about anything ever? Or how about the time that how about that clip of Nate saying that he was a dirty cop before he was a lawyer over on the Lady Baker's channel?
That was actually the one I was alluding to, because that's a pretty powerful statement. With that clip being attached to, what if that clip showed up after he did this statement out there over and over again in the same groove for the last, what if that clip showed up there? What would they have to say about that?
It's almost like that clip. It's almost like that clip wasn't brought up by Feline, because Feline's not going out with a hate boner for Nate. Feline's going out with hey, you got this information wrong and you didn't provide evidence for your claims. I'd appreciate it if you did that. And his response is, yo, debate me, bro. Also, Steve this, Steve that, Steve this, Steve that. which is completely unrelated to
and
was
why?
up.
Just because she knows him on Twitter, because she's, she associates with him, like that makes it relevant? It doesn't.
Well, I mean,
It does not.
obviously, Feline is someone else because they're projecting. I think the fact that someone would take the time to make this proves the claim, number one, beyond a possible doubt. You mean the
What?
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 You don't think that people should take the time to fact check somebody? Or is it because they're fact checking your friend?
Exactly.
Who is in this particular cult? Anyone that disagrees with KJ or Unirock, it's not hard to get in. It's not, the cult isn't actually about Steve. The cult is about disagreeing with Unirock or KJ. That's funny.
That's actually more accurate because it's like half the free world. That cult really easy. Yeah, no, that's actually more accurate than Steve having a cult. Actually, that's more accurate. I kind of like that one actually. It's amusing.
This person, Spurgy here, seems to think that this person is Steve drunk tweeting, because, it's always a separate account. But let's take a look and see how bad this gets, because Feline actually responded. Right?
Yes.
So they're saying, oh, we're getting crickets from Feline. No, Feline responded. Nate, I would be happy to see your evidence on the platform where you made the claims, which would be Twitter.
Which is right there on Twitter.
And I don't think this was originally like this. It was on Twitter because that's way too big to be on Twitter. So Feline, if you don't mind letting us know where this originally was posted, because unless it was posted in chunks like this, which I don't think it was on Twitter. So if you could let me know, this looks like something that was probably taken off of like a community tab on YouTube, but I'm not 100% sure. So Feline, if you could give us that little bit of information. I'm not 100% sure which platform this started on. Feline or Golden Unicorn for 10. Oh god, I'm getting everybody confused now. Oh, it was on Twitter. Really? Okay, so it was on Twitter.
Correct. It's okay, they're all Steve anyway. You're allowed.
Golden Unicorn for 10 says, is Nate okay with falsely accusing Steve and harassing him because he doesn't agree with Steve on how he acted in a situation? And in turn, Nate is okay to re-victimize rape victims for each time he does that.
Yep.
The black part was all one image on Twitter. So, okay, so he wrote his thing and then posted it on Twitter, and who knows where else he posted, but you're referring to Twitter specifically. Okay, so Nate, I would be happy to see your evidence on the platform where you made your claims. Twitter. A debate on modern day debate would be disadvantageous, as I would not know what evidence you have, nor be able to investigate it properly. I see no reason why you could not provide the evidence on here. You made those claims. Right? So this is a situation where I think this reason alone it makes total sense. Like, you don't go on and debate a creationist or a young earth creationist without already knowing what the debate topic is. Exactly. And what most of the evidence already is. You don't go on and debate a flat earther. You don't even go on and debate something like a little bit more vague, like mask mandates, without knowing what the other person is talking about, right?
Right.
So, especially with things when it comes to litigation, that's something that sometimes requires a lot of research to even find. Somebody sent me the tweet where this happened, so I'm just going to pull it up real quick so we can show it. Yeah, so he wrote this spiel out and then posted it on Twitter. Back to this.
So he did. He put it right back on the same platform.
Yes, it was on Twitter. You want to shut me up, which is what he said he wanted, correct? Then do it fair and square. It always takes more time to properly demonstrate something is false than to assert the claim. I am willing to invest a lot of time in this to do it thoroughly. So basically, Feline is saying that, hey, listen, you make your claims, you show your claims, I will go through it and actually take my time and look at everything and go through everything you've actually posted. So that way we can verify whatever claim you're making. Another reason why modern day debate sorry, is rather difficult is the time zone difference and the fact
Right.
that I do have a life and have work. Yeah, so they're saying it's reasonable for them to take this time to do it intermittently while they do their real life stuff with the amount of time they're willing to invest. Also, if I'm not mistaken, feline is on the other side of the pond, so there is a huge time zone difference. Feel free to respond below with your evidence, and we go through it one by one.
Reasonable.
I think that makes sense. I have seen people use time zones and stuff as excuses before, where it's like, hey, listen, I'm willing to work on your schedule, but that's not what Nate is proposing. That you want to sidestep to a different platform with a methodology that would be rather advantageous to you is what I see as a deflection. You could make the claims here, then you could also provide the evidence here. Yeah, fair.
That's fair.
Nate, again, you can provide your evidence here in a structured way. Your tweet did not contain any evidence nor direct links to the evidence that you said you have, thereby not providing the evidence that you claim there is. When you make a claim, then you provide the evidence. Alongside it, you did not do that. Please provide the evidence of your claims in a structured manner in this thread. This is why nobody needs to go on a goose chase to try and find out what you see is the evidence for what claim. Using the, quote, evidence is out there, go look for it yourself, is not only incredibly impractical, but it also means that it is, again, easier to make the claim that it is, then make the other person go through a lot of effort. Your methodology is unfruitful for an honest, thorough, and proper process.
But that's a fair statement. She's actually just saying you can fix this, all those red lines, by just providing the evidence and letting us see everything, and we'll go through it. Could have just fixed it right there. I mean, that's, and it's not. She's even doing it politely. She could have been a lot. She's doing a lot better job of staying calm and measured and professional than I could ever, being addressed the way she's being addressed and dismissed.
There's a degree here that is the amount of work that Feline is offering, and the how great would it be for Nate to be like, you know what, I'm going to send you everything in an email and you can go through it and take it all public. Because that would, if he has it, give it.
Right. He's saying he has it. He's saying he's writing this statement based on what he's seen, and this evidence backs it up. And yet he's telling everybody, well, you got to go look for it.
Or come debate me about it without me telling you what it even is to begin with. So,
which that doesn't seem like
inherently unfair.
It is inherently unfair. It's not a fair playing field. It is trying to win your argument without providing the necessary information, critical thinking, because obviously they don't want anybody to look into it too much or think too much about it. It's just like, believe what I say, and a lawyer should know better. You can't just put something out there that says, believe what I say, because I say it.
Like, for anybody who is a member or a Patreon who now has access to the blog that I wrote, the blog itself is filled with hyperlinks of examples. I didn't just say, oh, this, and this. No. I made those things all. So I didn't say, oh, hey, they said something transphobic, or they're being problematic with transphobia stuff. I put a hyperlink there so you can go and see it for yourself. You don't have to just believe my little spiel, right? For those who are members, you can't see that yet. I'm not finished putting it together, but I gave you the audio as a precursor, just as a thanks for being patient with me while I finish putting this video together. And I'll just make that video public at this point, because I'm tired of referencing it without some people being able to see it. So it will be public for everybody, and it will have the screen. I'll be putting screenshots in so people can see it, although I do not think the screenshots will do justice to as much as the links to follow those things are, sadly, but it'll have to do for the time being. I'm going to continue this. So at Nate, I'm giving you all the opportunity to collate all of the evidence you say you have, write it all out thoroughly with reasoning, just like any affidavit, winky face, and I will return the same with equally or a more thorough response. That's totally fair. There's no rush, there's no deadline, there's no limited amount of speaking time like you might get in a debate. Feline is granting Nate everything. Every opportunity in the way to do it that's the most advantageous for him. And just refusing...
familiar in doing as a lawyer, being able to do this at the drop of a hat at anything he wanted to justify.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah. Yep. As I explained earlier, having a conversation as it wouldn't or could not, could it be a debate, nor could it be a debate. Correct. This is not a debate. On modern day debate is rather disadvantageous to me, not only because of the ease of merely making claims, but also because it always takes longer to explain things through properly to refute or debunk the claims. Additionally, I have also stated that I am hearing impaired, so on an autofocused style discussion is simply rather difficult for me in the first place. You want to have these advantages because I think that you are aware that on a level playing field, you'll have a hard time. If I'm not mistaken, Nate had actually blocked Feline in the past. Or at least, even if it wasn't Nate, there's a lot of these people have blocked Feline in the past because they cannot handle how direct and how just thorough they are. I agree, going live on a debate is detrimental for you. They would claim victory outside, explain why it's wrong in 6 minutes. Moreover, since this is a really long list of claims, at least 19, I think it ended up being 20 at the end of the day, it opens up for a gish gallop. Unaddressed claims can then be used to still claim victory as well. This is my opinion per se as well. Also, I'm hearing impaired. That doesn't help at all either. Yes, it's not only is Nate shown to not be an honest interlocutor, but also to try and have to juggle that when you're hearing impaired on top of it is it's not only uncomfortable and unreasonable to make that expectation, but also you would want to be on with people who are charitable, who are going to be patient enough to listen. And for anybody who's been on Modern Day Debates or has been in Modern Day Debates side chat, especially when Steve is there, shit show. Complete and utter monstrous shit show. Quite frankly, Modern Day Debates, even if somebody was going to host something like this, would not be the best platform to do it on. Right. To get the truth, at least, anyway. You want a dumpster fire? Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely. Right. But that's not what Feline is going for, right? They're not interested in a block. He had me blocked 2 years back, and apparently only had a brief unblock somewhere in between. Yeah. So he's playing peekaboo. Yeah. Linking docs. Each claim should be made having corresponding support of the claim linked the claim from the person making the claim, no one else. Yeah, it's not anybody else to do your work for you. You do the homework if you're making the claim. As you've stated, there should be no big problem in doing so, no picking and choosing of data, cherry picking, yeah. It's a lot of fallacies. There's a lot of fallacies.
It should be no problem. This is common sense.
Yeah. You come in here swinging hard that Nate's a liar. Now suddenly you need to investigate his evidence. So you know Nate's lying without having reviewed the evidence he put forward. Fascinating. Gone rogue. Didn't read what this said. Fun fact, this person used to be on the GDC. Surprise, surprise. It used to be a mod for Steve for quite some time and got really mad when Steve was like, can you stop being a sea lion?
Where did she call Nate a liar?
They said that Nate was wrong, and I think they said that I think they might have said that Nate was lying at one point in this. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, but I don't think it was in tree. I don't think she said that. She just said show the evidence, right?
I think at one point they said that Nate, you know this. Like you know that this is not the case. False attributions and false equivalence. Nope, that's not.
Oh, okay. All right, but I don't think she used the word liar, did she? I don't know.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't see it in here.
No, just false attribution, calling out the asking for where is the factual part of this? Not what I saw. There's no evidence put forward that demonstrates that. Not a cult leader.
Yeah, I don't see the word liar in here.
I see a lot of requests for evidence. I don't see her saying. I mean, she's questioning some of the interpretation of things that he's saying and statements that he's making, but she is not saying liar. She's saying, if you want to say this, could you explain it to me? Can you back it up a little bit? Like you're saying there's evidence, show me.
On the right side in the middle. Okay, let's check the right side in the middle. This is legally a distinct difference between a temporary restraining order and a restraining order in a Minnesota statute. This has been explained to you, and you should know this as a lawyer. This is dishonesty per se.
It's just, yeah, but that's not the same thing as calling somebody a liar.
It's heavily implied. I would take that as, yeah, all right.
It's a little different. It's just like, it's just being a little dishonest, but at the same time she's saying it's dishonest, she's asking for the evidence for why he this.
I
so
enjoy
that he not being dishonest.
I enjoy how Feline is saying, hey, listen, modern day debates isn't going to work for me. Here's my reasons, very reasonable reasons why it's not going to work for me, but here's how we can get this done. And they're saying, and he cowers away from Nate. That's not that. But the beginning of this says, I would be happy to see your evidence on a platform where you made the claims.
How is that cowarding away? She's addressing it the whole time. She's going point for point and trying to get him to, continue the conversation.
But you'll notice that Nate has taken off a lot of the non sequitur videos, or did take off the non sequitur videos from his channel when he started getting larger. He behaves one way where have we seen this before? He behaves one way on this platform and doesn't address it on this platform, and also talks about it on this platform. This is one of the reasons why I like doing this kind of a show. It's important to look at the behavior of people across different platforms. People who are on YouTube aren't going to see that Nate's behaving this way.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to know. And so people are going to start following him on Twitter from YouTube, not knowing what's going on, and then just taking what he says in like this sort of document as if it's reasonable and makes sense, because they don't know the history, they don't know what's going on. Right?
It just amazes me that more people don't get upset when you can see this in black and white, that they are treating like you don't know any better and you can't read.
Feline says he unlisted the vids of Non Sequitur show, and I suspect at least some of them have been edited.
Yeah.
Probably. Original Nelson caught this. Wow, he's an A-grade piece of shit. Just because you have visual impairment didn't mean you get to police other folks and how they handle their disabilities, you ableist wanker. I was called out by Intrigued Feline. Claim my evidence is false. Yeah, they said that some of your stuff is false, but they also said that you didn't actually demonstrate any of those things. I challenge that, because of course Nate's always going to leave information out when it's advantageous for him to leave evidence out.
At this point, is she blocked? And she can't see. Could you see this tweet? Not clear here if you could see this tweet when it happened.
I challenge them to debate it publicly on a neutral platform. Modern day debate. Excuses. Time zone, work, life, different platform, impractical. Impractical is a good reason. Evidence may embarrass them. That's not what they said. Hearing impaired, level playing field. He's admitting that he was taking advantage of modern day debate being an unfair and unreasonable platform for Feline to go onto, agreeing that there was a platform jump, and agreeing that it was going to be difficult for them to come on, calling being hearing impaired an excuse to not enter an audio debate, also while admitting that he wanted an unlevel playing field and that it would be, and that as if it's unreasonable for them to want an unequal playing field. Might as well add on her cycle. We're not. You're on your period.
Exactly. That's what the pause is. Like, I'm trying to, like, all the words that want to come out of my mouth right now are not appropriate for addressing this situation in a productive manner. Because this is when you don't actually have an argument. You have to put. You're tagging people, you may not even see it, you're addressing, putting it all out there.
Well, he's also not being honest about how the interaction went. We saw here that Feline was like, listen, I'm happy to look through this and go through this, but modern day debate would be disadvantageous for a shitload of reasons. And listen, if you want to say that, hey, listen, the time zone isn't really a very good reason, fine, but the time zone was only part of the huge list. And one of the main reasons, because they're obviously going to misrepresent it, the main reason you've got time zones and work in there is because they're willing to dedicate a lot of time to actually demonstrate or debunk your claim, like to validate and verify what you're saying. They're saying like, oh, I'm not refusing this 2-hour debate. They're saying I need to be able to do this within my time frame because I have other shit to do beyond just debunking your bullshit.
And she's not just
And he's
out there just
misrepresenting
saying
it.
it's all wrong. She's saying, show me, show me. She's like, and he's misrepresenting it as if she's like, just walk away and doesn't want to hear anything about it. That's true.
I cannot. It blows my mind that somebody is saying that. Oh, debate me, bro. No. I'm hearing impaired, so doing a debate like this is not only extremely difficult for me, but I'm also not willing to do so because of this other list of reasons. And then saying they're running from me and won't debate me because they're hearing impaired. What a bullshit excuse.
No, you know what? Not having the debate. This is what gets me with these guys all the time. They always throw that debate me, bro bullshit. And then they do everything they can so that you can't have it. And then they claim they're the winners because they were right in the first place because nobody was going to debate them when they had no intention of doing it in the first place.
Oh, you mean like when I waited for Unirock for 6 hours?
Oh, God. Now you said that name too. They're going pressure just 50.
Ah, no.
Oh, that's it. But anyway, can we think of another name? Like
Jigglypuff. Jigglypuff.
I like, yeah, but there's other puffs out there that are cute.
This person had responded to Feline's list of reasoning, and because you notice that they added that they're hearing impaired as the last reason, right? They're like, listen, I've got all these other reasons, but also I don't like. They're not trying to use. They're clearly going out of their way to not use their fact that they're hearing impaired as an excuse. They're clearly saying like, hey, listen, I have a ton of reasons which are valid on their own, but also this would be extremely difficult for me because of this. This is like a side note. But that's, of course, the thing they latch onto, right? Because they're assholes and they don't actually care about people with disabilities. They target them, if anything else. And they use, like, ableist bullshit like this to be like, well, you're using your disability as an excuse.
On what planet should that even be a comment in reply to any of this? That's just...
This is probably my favorite, though. Hearing impaired, the way you phrase your words tells me you're more you're more than likely to be hard of hearing, not deaf/hearing impaired. Phrase your words on Twitter?
The way... First of all, it doesn't even matter. Andrea, like, that's not your business. Whether she's deaf, they are deaf, hearing impaired, or hard of hearing. You're
hard of hearing is hearing impaired.
You're weighing in. This is how you want to represent yourself. You're actually weighing in like that. Like, no. Like, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're definitely not. And you're definitely not improving the argument for your side if you think you're defending Nate with that kind of a comment. You just... I think your parents would be ashamed of you right now, actually. I think you should be ashamed of yourself. That's not cool.
So you can tell if someone doesn't have a problem hearing because of how they type their tweets. What an awesome superpower you have. Why are you here and not making money off of this ability?
I really like that account, actually. That account makes
Crenshaw Paul's hilarious. I highly recommend going and checking out Crenshaw's work if you haven't seen it. Crenshaw's a funny guy.
Definitely.
The only thing that this indicates to me is that this person thinks that Feline is somebody else or is completely crazy. Like, you think that the way they phrase their words on Twitter is indicative of how whether or not they can hear, as if reading is affected by your hearing ability.
But the fact that they even think it's a point is...
Do they think Feline is me?
Like, yeah.
There was already somebody else over here saying that they thought that I think that I'd like to hear Feline speak. I'm mostly convinced Feline is someone else. And then they immediately jumped to, they spoke on stream with Chesh, meaning that they probably thought Feline was me. I've seen Feline get could be Santa, won't help though. Yeah, good point. It could be Santa. It doesn't matter because it doesn't address anything. Look at how many excuses these people are making to not address the very valid and poignant criticisms that Feline has put forward. Every excuse in the book, up to but not limited to ableism.
Nope, because they'd rather just swing all that other stuff around because they do not want to address the issues of what's going on or their own behavior. Like that tweet, Andrea, that was like totally out of line. That is bad behavior on your part for whatever reason you're putting that there. It's, I think that their disability is their business, not yours. Period. Even if you do have,
because somebody else pointed out that Nate's being an ableist piece of shit, he's trying to turn that onto Steve, because of course, and Feline by saying at Steve, who's blocked back and forth, so the fact that he's tweeting at him is kind of stupid. Why are you so desperate to make things up? Feline is not deaf. They said it here in a tweet. You are starting to embarrass yourself with these outright lies. Keep the focus on your bullshit lawsuit. Nate, how about you keep the focus on the criticism and stop being so obsessed with Steve that you make everything about him? Because Steve said in response...
He got called out.
Oh, go ahead.
He got called out, and he's actually swinging Steve again. Like, that's going to protect him against what he said about her indicating a hearing impairment. And getting called out for it. And he's going to swing Steve at everybody.
Well, of course, because everything's about Steve all the time. Every time. It's all Steve. All day, every day. It's only Steve. It's only Steve. It's only Steve.
I had no idea it was that powerful. I had no idea it was that powerful. Because the only way out of this is to address your own behavior. Okay? You just look worse.
It does not matter what Steve did. People are talking about you made claims that you did not back up, so back up those claims. Whether or not those claims are about Steve is irrelevant outside the fact of addressing them.
Right, and all of this stuff that you're mad at him is it's from before. It's the past. It's like we're talking about something you're doing right now, and you still got to bring all of that up to try to deflect. That's deflection.
Smitty
That's
said
denial.
Chesh splooged. And then I'm going to essentially explain that, that's because I can actually get off to my hatred of Steve, unlike these people who are stuck with blue balls for eternity, apparently.
Apparently, they need some help. It's 2 years now. It's got to be painful by now. It's in their own best interest to just, get it over with already.
Golden Unicorn for 10 said, in my opinion, Nate goes on a power trip and abuses his platform when he targets Steve with his lies and tries to flex that with his number of followers he can get away with targeting people and promoting their harassment. Continues on to say, didn't KJ say the same to Todd Chrisley? LOL. Focus on your bullshit lawsuit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how about you help Steve focus on his bullshit lawsuit by shutting the fuck up about him and stop harassing him? How about that? Anyone still don't think hashtag Nate the Liar isn't a complete piece of shit? ? Any lawyer out there still think this guy should even have a law license ? Everyone knows Intrigue Feline is deaf. What a fucking piece of shit to use that against her. Now you all know why I loathe this person. So Steve calls out his ableism, and so Nate turns around and tries to split hairs about being deaf versus being hearing impaired. And
it does not take away from what Nate did at all.
Completely sidetracks the fact that he was being ableist and trying to weaponize her hearing impairment against her because he doesn't like that Steve used the word deaf, which is funny because Feline's actually gone through and corrected this. They are deaf.
Exactly.
They went forward to explain far further than they ever needed to, because now that Nate is being an ableist piece of shit, Feline feels that it's necessary for them to go through and give people very specific details about their disability. They have gone publicly on Twitter to say that I am deaf in one ear and heavily impaired in the other ear.
Mm-hmm.
Steve wasn't wrong. You're splitting hairs so you can detract from the fact that Feline called you the fuck out, and you're doing everything that you can, including ableism, to avoid the completely valid, reasonable, well thought out, clearly written, and politely spoken criticisms. They weren't even rude to you.
And it's not a comment that it was offensive, but the only thing that could be considered offensive is because it's in red. That's it. Because it's used to highlight the points that you're making. That's it. But it's direct, and it's not.
It is very direct.
It's very direct, and it's not even against intrigue that there are so much of it. That's directly Nate's own fault that there's so much of it. That it looks the way that it looks, and yeah, I just think it would have been a better point if he was going to try to defend it, that he actually defended it. Because do you see in these tweets anywhere that he's making and all this deflection and just digging in and making it worse for himself? Do you actually see any defense?
What I see is them cherry picking out something Feline said without the context explaining what they were talking about.
Mm-hmm. I like deflection, and don't. There's a smarter way. It's very frustrating because it just makes it keep going. Like I think somebody wasting this much time on Twitter to make a point would like actually make a point and be able to defend a point, and have everything back there if somebody came back at you, because that happens on Twitter all the time. He's not a newbie. You're not a noob, right? I mean, there might be other names we could assign to you, but you're not a noob. You know how Twitter works. You know somebody's going to look at it and somebody's going to say something. So where is the stuff where you could have proved what you were saying so that this didn't happen to the point
where you look here too, right? If you look at the conversation that goes down around here, it makes the ableism more apparent and more obvious, right? Nate, please do not go as low as to use any kind of disability against someone, whether she is completely deaf or has a hearing loss. It still makes it a struggle to hear. And she said hearing impaired, which can imply either condition. Nate, I like you, but you need to apologize for this. Nate is not doing that, and if you knew him, you would know that. That doesn't explain anything. Oh, well, if you know them, you know or not. Like that's apologetics. Because apparently she hasn't read what he just did up there. Because yes, he did. I'm sorry. I know that this might be your friend, but you obviously can't read. Did you just see what he just did? You are just falling. Yes, be careful not to fall into it. Please take your own advice. These people breed cognitive dissonance. It's very well known. Careful not to fall into it. What cognitive dissonance are you talking about?
And who are these people?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm trying to figure out who these people are. There's all this group of people that always do this,
Well, yeah, and it is very well known. Look at all the examples I'm not going to give.
Was there one person who was asking him to back up what he was saying? Show them where it is. That was one person. What's these people and this
what do you
common
mean, you
thing?
People?
Yeah, like just let's make it worse. I love how they're trying to help, and it just gets worse.
It just gets worse
and worse. Yeah.
Just not in whether or not she can hear well or not being an issue. When what proof do we need, or do we need to call someone out on that they most likely is true, and that solid, indisputable evidence could anybody have that she is lying about hearing? I mean, they're saying, why are you calling this, like, this is poorly worded, but they're saying there's no reason to bring this up. If you want to call out other reasonings, fine. What Nate, the problem is that if Nate were an honest interlocutor, he would have said, oh shit, no problem, we can either pick another platform that makes you more comfortable, or the evidence that I have is a lot of documentation. Can I email it to you? Something. Any actual offer to present a damn thing about all of the shit he said. But he's not. He's going out of his way to dodge anything, and he just does not give two shits. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about people who have disabilities. He doesn't care about the issue that people are getting harassed or sexually harassed. He doesn't give a shit that people that are his friends that he hangs out with are now trying to attack Feline for their disability based on his behavior and what he said.
Nope, I don't see him here saying, that's not the point. Not once.
Right here, you don't see Nate coming in and correcting this. This person goes on live panels, and most of us know it. There were also many suggestions to help her. One included doing it off-air, so she had time to re-listen or ask again when needed. You mean that Nate should just make a video demonstrating his claims, and then we could go through it? Wow! Who would have fucking thought of that? It's almost like he could have done that. He doesn't need Feline to do that. If anything, he should have done that before making his post. Or anytime he's made any of these claims about Steve over the past 5 years.
Yeah.
She doesn't play fair, and her knowledge is not that great if you look at her arguments. Where? Who are you? I'm convinced that they think that Feline is somebody else, and most likely they think it's me.
I don't know.
And Feline says, I have only been ever on a panel once, and it was exhausting. Yes, and that was on my channel.
Right. So where are all these panels?
Her post, but look at how this ableist shit turns, right? This ableist bullshit turns into don't do that, gets manipulated and turned into her posts do seem odd. Do they?
Like, why are they stepping in to try to defend ableist bullshit to begin with? Why can't you just see it for what it is? And if you don't want to get involved, just stay out of it. Because the only one really who could defend it and or accuse are the two parties involved there. They're the only one that can say. Only Intrigue can speak on her disability.
Well, look at what happens, right? Because Feline's the one running away, right? Watch what happens here. Her posts do seem odd. Can you explain what you think is odd? Feline, you don't get to go in on this person. Your beef is with Nate. Accept his debate or shut up. So I'm not allowed to ask a person, so a person can give clarification. Are you the arbiter of Twitter? No, but I did see Steve using her tweet to gaslight, and because he doesn't have the guts to come here, you have. I won't let you dogpile her. You are using buzzwords that you don't know what they mean to try and deflect, undermine, and shit on somebody who has done nothing to you. If this is between Nate and Feline, why the fuck are you getting involved in this here? You already involved yourself, you fucking garbage. This is garbage. Not only are you encouraging, enabling, and breeding ableism as well as like harassment and like 7 other things. But if somebody comes to ask for clarifications, like, what about my posts are odd? What are you talking about? You're like, shut the fuck up.
Exactly. She's defending the comment that he made and actually speaking on her and then saying you have no business speaking in this thread. This thread is about her.
You spoke for Intrigued Feline to imply that they're somebody that they aren't and presented information about them that is false, to then gaslight this person to saying that her posts seem odd because this person had an issue. Then they whipped it around to make Feline seem like they do things that they don't do. So that way, to enable and encourage this ableism and allow it, to then say that her posts do seem odd, and when Feline asks for correction, you immediately shut down every single bit of conversation between Kelly and Feline. This is running away. This is gaslighting. This is actually going out of your way to blockade people from hearing what people with disabilities have to say about situations that you're talking about. About them. This is bullshit.
And they're the ones that know, not you. Like, that is the voice that needs to be heard.
And then this person is like, I'm going to protect you because one person came to ask for clarification about something that they said about them. I swear no good deed goes unpunished, April. Thank you. Steve is just trying to use you. He does it to everyone. That's why I left them behind. Then go away! Keep being you. If you feel something is wrong, speak your mind. Nate, thank you. No worries. This person listed 7 or 8 different excuses. The hearing excuse was number 6, I think. No, it was the last thing they brought up, but whatever. Along with time zones and bad breath. What the fuck? If you feel like I'm wrong, don't be afraid to tell me. You block everybody who tells you that you're wrong and actually stands up to you, you fucking piece of shit.
This is so professional. I'm shocked.
But be warned, Steve will retweet it. He has an obsession with my success. Nate, you're the one who doesn't shut up about talking about Steve.
You don't want your own words out there retweeted or anything. Like, you wouldn't want your own words like that.
And
foul statement you just made up there.
Well, notice with no evidence, no backing up about those claims, nothing. This person has now switched from, hey, maybe you shouldn't do this, to, thank you for letting me know. Sounds like she was dishing a lot of bullshit, and she has already reached out to Cheshire, to chastise me for my comments regarding her. Sounds like a misunderstanding of someone gave 7 out of 8 BS excuses. I could see how I may think that think the next one was an excuse as well. Going forward, Nate, I will be careful because I know you're a good guy, and I know in this crazy it's hard to always remember there are food people on people on both sides as well as complete idiots on both sides. Congratulations, we just watched this person stand up against ableism, gaslit, spun around to thank harassers and abusers and the people doing the fucking ableist behavior.
Right. Insane.
That's what we just witnessed. This is an amazing excuse of this fucking garbage and why it's harmful and why it's problematic and why this is something that needs to be talked about. Because this is not something that this is what I mean by somebody who probably came from his YouTube channel. Somebody came from his YouTube channel where he's covered something legitimately and actually maybe he's done a decent job at. Comes over, sees that he's having beef with Steve, and then just gets fucking spun right the fuck around.
Exactly. Because, I mean, they could have been clarified too, but no, it's just...
Golden Unicorn for 2 said Nate blocked me when I asked him to present evidence. That's usually what he does, yes.
Yeah.
He unblocked me and then blocked me again when that Nick guy from the Nick lawyer guy decided he wanted to ask about Steve and Nate's beef on Twitter.
Right.
And then he blocked me again, like, as soon as I popped into the conversation. He was like, oh shit, this bitch. But, like, this is par for the course with Nate. He does not care about this shit. He does not care if you're disabled. He will use it against you if he can. He doesn't care if you're dead. He'll wing your dead body around. He's fucking known for, if you want to talk about, like, Boole or Bill Ludlow, he likes to bring up. There's the entire situation with Katie Joy and this harassment thing after he's been fucking talking shit for years. There's a whole video Steve made a couple years ago, I want to say 2018 maybe, of Nate trying to troll Steve on Facebook and Nate admitting he's a troll, and now he's trying to whitewash and pretend that never happened. I did the very first Dumb Fekk Friday was talking about Nate race baiting. But you know, ableism is, as you described, it is not real. That doesn't really exist, guys.
It does, you know, and it is all the time when you address something that it's not your business anyway, unless you are the one with the disability. You don't get a voice on it. You don't get to speak on it. You don't get to say whether someone is or isn't, or what they can or cannot do, because only they know. Anything else is ableism and is wrong, and he's a professional and he should know that. This is just a bad look all the way around. And even if that argument did start that way, when it started to go all the way left over there with other people involved, I'm sorry, he had a responsibility to correct that stuff, and he didn't do it because it was going in his favor. It was just like he didn't have to talk about the actual issue because he was using all this like a shield. But it's not going to work. It just makes you look worse. It just makes it look like you don't want to talk about the real issue with, please back up what you said, which is something that always gets repeated. Please back up what you said. We're not saying you don't have a right to say something. We're saying, please back it up. We'd like to see it. We'd like to hear it. That's what I see in all these tweets. We'd like to see why you're saying this. We'd like to see why you feel this way. I think you're wrong, but here, show me. Show me. And instead, bring everything else into it. Let's look. You know.
Let's look at what people were saying to this particular tweet. We've got, oh, look at that. Prolib, Ethan, encouraging ableism. Good shit. Are you mocking them for being hearing impaired? Because that's what it looks like. I'm visually impaired, so no, this was their excuse, one of many. No. I don't see a hearing impairment being anything more than just a reason, not an excuse. I'm visually impaired too, so why can't something be done that works for you both? I'm willing, ready, and able. This person called me out. This person claimed there is no evidence. I posted it all on Twitter. Now here we are. What would you suggest? Where did you post it on Twitter? Post the link.
You did not.
You did not. This is a lie. Show me where. Can you just tag them in the evidence? Oh my god! We have been through it. No, you didn't. This person even posted and shared it, now claims it doesn't exist. Insanity is doing something over and over again, expecting a different result. We have done that, now no more excuses. Okay, where did they show it? Where?
Where? We have been through it? Where?
We want a debate. How does it feel to want, troll? What?
Oh my
Why
God.
is it that we... Oh, surprise! Menace! Why is it that we have to repost evidence every single time we tweet about it? Because you never posted it in the first place. You want to be done? Make a concise video that actually demonstrates the shit you claim it does. And the reason you won't do that is not only does it not show what you say it does, and it's gonna get ripped to shreds. If you want a really good example, go watch Steve McRae Apologetics 101 and then go watch Colin Mean Obloquy. Despite the number of people making claims about Steve being a rape apologist over and over and over again, we never made another video. We only made one because we never needed to debunk it again because it was never assailed in the first place.
Exactly. And he's making it sound like this was just a tweet and you're, trying to link it to a whole bunch of other stuff. He made a full statement,
right,
and said this,
and didn't link to the evidence. If he had linked to the evidence, there would be no issue here. On the other hand, if you make a video and you're concerned about having to repost every single time, all you'll have to repost is the one video.
But this is deflection too. This is definitely trying to make it look like something else than what it is.
Oh,
but,
look.
That's the game that they play. And this one's just beautiful.
More ableism.
I shouldn't be shocked at how low this crew will go, but I do. I get shocked. But that's really low.
Oh, shocking. Zags and Unirock.
We hear you. We hear what you're saying, but it ain't what you think. We hear what you're saying, but it ain't what you just think you put out there. We're hearing that you don't care about evidence. We're hearing that you don't care how low you go and what terms you will use and how you will abuse other people just because you don't like one person.
A perfect example, right? This is the person asking about what would you suggest? Why can't you just tag them in the evidence? We have been through it. This person even posted and shared it. Nate, you had me blocked since sometime in late 2019. You only now unblock me to respond to me for the reason I gave in your response. You stalk my tweets. You're fucking tweeting about Steve over here, you fucking... What are you talking about? I went back.
How did we stalk his tweets? It was one big legal tweet.
How is this stalking? That is why you posted that response to my tweet. Because they're stalking you? Why are you addressing the criticisms? You're making more accusations. Now you claim that's because you were blocked and you couldn't see them as laughable, especially since you shared my tweets while being blocked. Stop with the BS. 1, I do not stalk your tweets. I don't give a damn about you. Why would I? You had me blocked, remember? I happen to see this as one of the people that I am friends with showed a screenshot of your tweet, and no, it wasn't Steve. Because you have to say it wasn't Steve because they're obsessed with Steve. I did not share your tweet with the response. You unblocked me to respond on that thread, so stop with your bullshit. There is none here. Then he posts this. We'll look at it. This person claims now that they couldn't see my tweets. Why? I had them blocked and they don't care about me. This is a lie. A simple search shows otherwise. Here's a small sample of the person tweeting about my tweets behind the block. Now they claim they didn't.
That's not what she said.
That's not them tweeting your tweets.
Oh God. Oh
and also, actually, this is actually just something that's incorrect. Nate can look at your tweets if you have them blocked. He just won't get a notification about it.
Right.
So he can still see them.
Mm-hmm.
This is from 2020. You mean that Ruhif was screenshotting and talking about you, and that Reds had probably screenshotted and talked about you, especially in December 5th, because this was look at the dates on these. What's happening around these times? This doesn't show what you think it shows, Nate. People can talk about you behind a block. It's harassment when they keep tweeting about you forever and ever and ever, making bullshit claims about you from behind a block, like you do to Steve. Dost thou protest too much, Nate?
I think I think he just showed the opposite of what he thinks he showed, because he has her blocked at this time while
Oh,
he's doing all
really?
of the
Well,
same
look who
thing.
pops up, right? Exiled and Spackle. Surprise, surprise. In Intrigued Feline's application to the cult, they chose keep people confused as their primary purpose. Oh yeah, because saying, hey, what's your evidence for this is definitely keep people confused territory.
Right, because, it would be there and it would clarify some things.
Asking for clarification from this person over here was totally, about keeping people confused.
How dare anyone ask for clarification? I mean, seriously.
Again. Trying to imply that Feline is somebody completely different. Who do you think it is? And I couldn't see your tweets. That does not mean that there were other ways where some of your content was shown, such as a screenshot by someone else and having them tweet about it. In fact, the second tweet in the first screenshot shows that you had me blocked. Let's take a look. Does it show that? Let's take a look-see. Second tweet. Where? Oh, hold on. Yeah.
Oh,
they're saying he has me blocked. Yeah, right there. So God damn it, Nate! Your screenshot showed that the thing that you're saying it doesn't. No, how do you fuck this up? Or I thought you were a lawyer. Oh God.
They just get too upset and they just think they found something and they just go beyond.
Well, and here's the example from June 15th. Somebody screenshotting what Nate had said and them responding to what Nate had said because somebody screenshotted and posted it. That's not them stalking. It's almost like there's more than one way to skin a cat, dude. Like the twist that goes on here to be like, oh no, there's but you notice how they never show what Feline is actually responding to. They only show that he did a search to see if Feline had ever said the name Nate, right? So you don't actually see what are they responding to see if they're actually commenting directly, right?
Yeah,
because here they're responding to themselves. Right? You can see that here. Here they're responding to Inane Dragon because Twitter puts these ats in order. So here they're responding to Ruhif. Here they're responding to Red's rhetoric. Here they're responding to themselves. And here they're responding to themselves and to Letty. So you can see that they're not talking to Nate. Right? So this actually all shows what Feline said was accurate.
Right. Which you can have a conversation. They're having a conversation.
The cult is crumbling under the weight of all their bullshit. Yes, Menace. Yes, you are. They are all hypocrites. Notice they all run part while they run from every fact we put out, refuse to bring up those facts, then lie at the end. And this piece of shit lies continuously. She is a Steve groupie. Need I say more? Lied about what? What lie? But, like, you see how this is, like, presented to his audience, right? This is the way he presents it.
Yep.
And if we look and you can see 242 followers versus 4,716, person who has shown up on a live stream once and does not have a YouTube channel versus person who has over 100k subscribers. You wonder why Feline might have said, hey, maybe somebody who has supported Nate should look at this.
Someone should.
When they're using and abusing her name to give themselves more credibility and credence than they have. There's also a huge guilt by association. Feline talks to Steve, therefore Feline's a fucking liar. When there's nothing in this that says that. This is a fair criticism of what he said. There's no lie in here from Feline, at least.
Right. It is his own words, and then her commentary back on, and then just the asking to back it up. That's just if you.
And every time and this is what they complain about. They're like, oh, look, I showed evidence. Look at the evidence I showed. And then when you get a response saying, this doesn't say what you think it says, they're like, oh, you're just ignoring the evidence and you won't talk about it, or you're just lying.
Well, we could say the same thing about what he put out there first. He just put it out there first as just, oh well, you're just lying. You just put it out there.
But you can actually show that he's lying. You can show that he's lying. He has me blocked.
That's it. So why is it okay for him to do that? Under the guise of a lawyer, in a bigger account?
He's trying to justify and engage in apologetics for ableism. How about address the criticism and address the point? But you won't, because as you're trying to project onto other people that they're running away from you, you're too busy actually running away and utilizing ableism to do so. Up to, but not limited to, ableism, we'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm. And I don't even consider, they're calling those excuses, like she didn't want to do it. She's just listing practicalities and facts. And like, why can't we just do it this way? Which he could have said, no, I won't want to do it that way. Why is he stuck on it has to be a certain way? Is that the only way that he could get done? Is that the only way?
Well, he admitted that he wanted to have the advantage.
Which was the whole purpose of the tweet in the first place, was to garner
the debate,
some publicity and get his name out here. And
he's trying to present how wanting a level playing field where feline could take the time and address things. It's not like him saying, well, I have a seeing impairment, I have an eye impairment, so it's hard for me to type. Feline didn't put any kind of limitation on how long or how much time he had to type out whatever he needed to say.
Mm-hmm. She even said, put it in a format that you're used to. Put it in an affidavit.
Put it in a video.
Send it to me.
Put it in a video. Put it in an affidavit.
Put it however, is comfortable for you. In your more familiar, format. Something that's easy for you to do, since you had all this stuff right there for you to make the statements. You're saying it's there. He says repeatedly, over and over again, that he has it and it's there.
Golden unicorn. Oh, sorry.
Well, go ahead. And then won't show it.
Golden Unicorn, Tertu says, Nate's trying to pass his original claim off as if it's evidence. And claims aren't evidence, dude. The evidence he's referring to is listed in the thread that he tweeted, dated on August 11th. Yeah, if somebody wants to send me that tweet, I can go to his Twitter threads dated August 11th. That's his evidence. Oh boy, do you think we can find this? August 11th. Close your eyes while I do a hefty scroll here. August 12th, August 11th. This one? Oh, 8 out of 8. Boop. Found it. Before I do that, though, we've got another super chat. Exploratory Minds for 10 says, Uni's projectionism is always on 100%. If peeps want to know the real Uni, just look at his accusations of others. He literally talks about himself while accusing. Rough. Because the cult wants to spin and confuse you about the harassment restraining order given to Steve McRae. Funny thing that he has an issue with Feline talking about him while blocked from behind a block, but he's fine with doing it to Steve. I'm creating this thread. All the evidence and documentation are listed below. This is how you kill lies with facts. Question 1, was there a harassment restraining order? The answer is yes. Proof attaches the NDA where Steve McRae signs admitting to a harassment restraining order being granted. So I've actually read through this, but whereas Catherine M. Paulson applied, this is the NDA, applied for and received an ex parte order granting a petition for harassment restraining order in Wake County, whereas Steve McRae requested a hearing in the above captioned harassment order filed, and said hearing was scheduled for this date, whereas the prior harassment restraining order hearing in court filing, and before Steve McRae was served with the summons and complaint in Catherine M. Paulson's defamation action, the parties reached an agreement as follows. Okay, so that doesn't say that he's agreeing to...
That doesn't say what it says, then.
All right.
That doesn't...
Next one. Catherine M. Paulson shall dismiss without prejudice the harassment restraining order proceedings. So that's not a restraining order.
Yeah, so it's not an order, it's the proceeding.
And make or participate in making any statement regarding the dismissal of the harassment restraining order proceedings again. Minnesota harassment restraining order action captioned this has been dismissed without prejudice. There is a pending Minnesota civil action captioned Catherine M. Paulson versus Stephen McRae and Trina Rogers that is unresolved. No further comment is appropriate. So that doesn't say what he says it does. Next one. Whereas Catherine M. Paulson applied for and received an ex parte order. That's not a harassment restraining order. An ex parte order granting petition for harassment restraining order.
Yeah, in other words, you can apply, bring your evidence, we're going to have the hearing, or we're going to proceed.
Okay, so none of this proof demonstrates what he
now,
said.
Now, a lawyer knows what that means. Okay, I'm not a lawyer. I know what that means. A lawyer knows exactly what that statement means. And he is presenting it in a false light here, an absolute, that's disingenuous.
The line, please remind Chesh to also read the line on the first picture between those two boxes. Oh, number 3? Mm-hmm. Which line? This one? The first picture. Oh, whereas Catherine M. Paulson is in the process of initiating a separate defamation action against Steve. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. So it wasn't because Steve the judge agreed that Steve was harassing KJ. It's that they're dismissing it because there's a process of initiating a separate claim, so they're dropping it. So that's that. All right. Debunked by his own pictures. Next. Further proof that McRae has a harassment restraining order. Steve signed this second court order document acknowledging that he has a harassment restraining order. This is what I mean by he's using harassment restraining order umbrella term and not being specific on purpose.
Right.
And ex parte harassment restraining order, which is the TRO. Okay, so doesn't... this is order for dismissal, but okay. Next, because a public statement. Oh, go ahead.
They have to do an order of dismissal because there was a temporary in place.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Because, again, Nate is presenting harassment restraining order, the umbrella term, as if it means just he's treating it as if he's a restraining order, because we've seen him historically, and the people he's catering to are trying to harass Steve by saying that he's got a restraining order when he does not. That Nate is specifically, purposefully trying to use this umbrella term to present it as if it's not temporary. If he's talking about it being temporary, why isn't he calling it that, right? It's on purpose. Right? So, okay. Minnesota harassment restraining order action captioned blah, 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 blah has been dismissed without prejudice. There is a pending Minnesota. So this is Steve saying there's a dismissed TRO. Okay, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It says it's dismissed. I agree. It says it's dismissed.
The caption of the document shows the harassment restraining order was for the harassment of Katie Joy Paulson's family, including her child. That's not what this...
That's not what it says.
Yeah. That's not what this means. You're presenting this as if it's not what it actually is. Yes. Wait. KJ made it about her and her family, and then she dismissed it.
Right. That is what she tried to present. I'll grant you that, Nate. That is what was attempted to be presented.
I haven't seen... The reason that I'm questioning what he's presenting is because of the context here, right? The context here is the cult wants to spin and confuse you about the harassment restraining order given to Steve. I'm creating this thread. All the evidence and documents are listed below. This is how you kill lies with facts. You're presenting it as if anybody ever disagreed that KJ did not attempt to serve Steve with a full-on restraining order. Nobody's arguing that.
No, because we're not idiots. We know there was a temporary. We know there was a nobody's ever said
the
there wasn't
argument has
temporary.
Always been between a temporary restraining order and a restraining order that is being perpetrated and pushed by you in this thread and by people like Menace to Sobriety.
Exactly. Those that know the actual process. There's no reason that this person, as a lawyer, does not know the actual process, and he's absolutely misrepresenting the process. Am I crazy? Aren't there laws of like professionalism or anything? Is this not
would have to go to the bar.
Worst thing? I actually think that the misrepresentation of this way, and it's not a Steve thing, because that's Steve's battle. But I'm looking at something here, a lawyer purposely in black and white. I can see it in my own eyes, misrepresenting facts for other people to see, and that is got to be a bar violation.
It's because he's responding to people having the discussion about the TRO versus an RO, right? That's why he's presenting it as a harassment restraining order and not being specific between TRO and RO, because he knows that argument has been about whether or not it was a TRO or a regular restraining order. HRO being an umbrella term versus what is actually being talked about, so that way he can present it as if Steve had a legitimate restraining order against him.
Yeah, but he's not using the word temporary, which is exactly what it was.
He's purposely
leaving it out.
Yes, he's
leaving it out so people don't understand the process, and he's doing that on purpose. This is he's purposely misleading people.
And it doesn't demonstrate what he says it does, right? The restraining order against Steve McRae was good for 2 years as stated. It was the restraining order was in effect for 2 years. However,
if it got granted,
if it got granted and the NDA undercuts that.
Also,
and this is part of
the
request. This is part of the request, though.
Right. This was the automatic process he's forgetting to talk to people about that happened.
Well, I mean, clearly it's not because he's run out of Twitter space.
No, he's got plenty of Twitter space.
Steve McRae then released this email, which shows he was forced to sign an NDA that required him to stop harassing this family, or they would go to court. You see how he's using harassment restraining order and...
Wait a minute, isn't Steve the one that requested to go to court?
Yes.
Is this not Steve's the one that requested to go to court, not her.
He settled because he knew he would likely lose. Better have an NDA than an HRO. So if he already had the HRO, how could he have an NDA and not an HRO then, Nate? It's because you're interchangeably using harassment restraining order, and temporary restraining order on purpose.
On purpose to mislead the process. There is a process that happens in order. That process was not fulfilled all the way through. It was disrupted. The terminology is purposely being thrown in there to skew the whole thing in their favor.
Sorry.
I'm actually ashamed for him. I really am. This
belongs in Dumb Fekk Friday. I don't know where else to put this. Honestly, it might be worthwhile to actually go through this in detail in another video. But alleged email from Steve's lawyer re 2-year HRO. Again, he's misrepresenting it. Steve, there is no reference to the VAWA, which is something that Nate has lied about in the past, which you notice that he doesn't correct. In the judge's ex parte order, in my opinion, Ms. Paulson does not want to go through with the TRO hearing, but she will if we don't give her a little more. If we don't give her a little more in the confidentiality agreement. Here's what they have. Here's what they have requested: mutual agreement not to contact the other party or comment on their online profile pages or channels, mutual agreement not to speak about the other party, mutual agreement not to disparage the other party, mutual agreement to not defame the other party. Do you agree to any of these? Please advise ASAP. Here's what they have requested. This is Steve's lawyer telling him that if he didn't bend the knee, they were going to a hearing. Yeah, and saying that Ms. Paulson does not want to go through with the TRO hearing. Now, why would Steve's lawyer be working on avoiding a trial if Steve could so easily prove the HRO frivolous and bogus? This is it. He knew he couldn't beat the RO at a hearing. Any more questions? Yeah, why is KJ the one not wanting to go to a hearing? And why is this what they've presented if this is Steve asking for an NDA?
Yeah.
Dumbass. Conclusion. Steve McRae. 1. Had a harassment restraining order granted. 2. This was a restraining or for harassing a family. This was a restraining or for harassing a family?
Well, it's probably... We'll just grant him the typo.
Yeah, is that what that is? Does he mean this was a restraining order for harassing a family? Okay.
I think he meant order.
Steve signed an NDA rather than face the judge. Steve was restrained from harassing a mother and her child online. Fact and evidence provided.
You know what I would like to see? No? I would like to see a panel of these tweets right here before they disappear, because they're going to disappear.
Well, people can screenshot them off of this video if they want.
Yeah, I would really like to see an actual panel of lawyers address what he did, and to see if maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it isn't just outright abuse and deflection of the system and trying to misrepresent the actual law that he should actually know about.
But this isn't proof of the claims
someone else
in
or
this.
Beat up on someone else. Is this defamation? Is this libel? Is this a bar offense? I would like that question answered. I want to know if this is a bar offense. I really do.
So this is what I mean. You notice that he interchanges RO and doesn't even use the word temporary in this entire thing. The only person using temporary is Steve's lawyer right here.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. Funny that. So he had a temporary restraining order granted. Yes, let's be specific. Let's be specific. Let's make Nate's thing that we're going to agree with more specific. Had a temporary restraining order granted had a restraining order granted ex parte. Yes.
Where are the words? Where? Because they change the actual scenario. They will not use the accurate language that is actually going to paint the true picture.
Correct.
This is purpose, and that's what I want to find out. That's what leans it towards a bar offense. This is absolutely, it's not like he doesn't know better. He knows definitely those words were in all those agreements. He highlighted the read ex parte.
Second, there was a restraining order for harassing a family. No, there was a temporary restraining order put forward on an affidavit that never went to court and was never demonstrated. So, no. But we will agree with there was a restraining order that a temporary restraining order granted as per Minnesota processes. 3, Steve signed an NDA rather than face justice. You can't read Steve's mind, and because the NDA actually, Feline makes a good point, there was actually less in the NDA than what KJ was requesting, meaning that Steve didn't actually bend any knee to Katie whatsoever. And 4, Steve was restrained from harassing a mother and her child online. Actually, if you read the NDA, they are both still allowed to talk about each other all they want. They're just not allowed to be disparaging about it. So he wasn't allowed to call her an idiot, but he was allowed to say she was wrong. So how about, instead of your shitty Twitter thread, you make a video where you actually read the affidavit and the NDA like I did. So instead of calling me dishonest, show what I read that was wrong instead.
Right. No, we read exactly what you told us to read. And it doesn't say what you're saying in the tweet.
Correct.
You're leaving out the pertinent legal part that you should know really well. You're the lawyer. I'm not the lawyer. Like, you're leaving out all the lawyer stuff on purpose to try to make your argument. That is, there's not even a word. Am I wrong? I mean, I need legal advice.
Look at why look at where this goes, right? Like, people don't know. People don't know that you're a lawyer, and you ought to understand that not everybody understands the jargon of HRO, TRO, and RO, and you're using that to your advantage. You're banking on people not knowing the difference or not caring about the difference. Why are you not addressing the current litigation then?
That's all I ask. That's all I ask. It's like, you want to get out there and you want to answer these tweets, and you want to say, oh, thank you for, like, oh, explaining it to me, and oh, thank you. That's just like, that's all that. If it was my tweet or anybody's, I would say, please go look up the words. Hear what we're saying about leaving the words out. Ex parte, temporary. Go look up the statute in Minneapolis yourself to see how this process started and where it was, and then tell me that this evidence thread that he did is correct. So I'm not even a lawyer, but I've read that stuff, and before I'm going to get out there and kiss somebody's ass and say that that's right, I'm going to read it for myself. And I'm going to back it up. And I will listen to another lawyer or anybody else who will tell me that what I just read wasn't perfect English on the statute, because it is coming from the legal documents that he is presenting right out there as his own evidence. But he is quite craftily, and to me looks like with purpose, leaving out the important words that actually define the legal statement that he's stating. That is just... that to me is like so offensive as a professional. I can't imagine another lawyer getting behind this tweet. I would like to see where anywhere that he is saying that all this stuff is true, that another lawyer will come behind and back this shit up. I've
already seen another lawyer say they absolutely will not back him up, and they actually leave if that guy's ever around because they don't want to be associated with him in any way, shape, or form.
Right. And
I hope you didn't mean to try to justify harassment. It's okay because you hate somebody. Wow.
I would like to even ask for someone that doesn't even know either party. Anybody, please. I'm going to put out a Twitter thread. Any lawyer that does not know Steve and does not know Nate, please come read this and please explain to me if I'm reading it incorrectly, because,
Look
they are
who it
simple
is.
terms.
It's Laura. For anybody who doesn't know who Laura is, go watch my malicious compliance video. I'm shocked. Why are you tagging me? I've already read all of this.
Oh my God.
It was a TRO, not an RO. You left out the document showing Steve's request to go in front of the judge. Yeah, it's funny that he cherry picks a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Funny that.
But
it has an extra letter in it. Sarcasm. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, someone who can read and actually read the evidence that he's presenting and can see that. Thank you.
Tell Steve Nerd Angle says he got an HRO, not a TRO. And see, you can see people getting confused in knowing what a TRO and HRO actually is. Because a TRO is an HRO. Because he's misrepresenting what's going on. And you don't see him correcting any of these people. You don't see him making any kind of correction and explaining this.
Because
Nate's a lying piece of shit. He's an ableist asshole. He's a fucking race baiter. He doesn't give a shit. He's a fucking troll. He's admitted to being a fucking troll. He hates Steve, and he'll do anything he can to justify it and harm anybody in the way. He doesn't fucking care.
But he's actually doing himself a disservice here. He is actually proving that he will that low. And that's point about this whole crew. How low? Like, you're not making your point. If you're trying to get, all you've done in the last year is actually get anybody like myself who can read and who can actually look at this stuff, not want to hear anything else you have to. If you had a point, I am now missing it completely. You are not putting in the correct terminology. You are omitting terminology on purpose to skew what you're calling evidence. You're highlighting it for me to read it, and then you're trying to gaslight us that we're not actually reading words like ex parte and temporary. That is bullshit. That is beyond. That is just like treating us all like we're idiots, and we're not. Sorry, we're not.
Like, you can tell that some people are not even looking to see what Steve actually said here and just assuming he said something awful.
Right, exactly.
Like,
because that's it. Anything you put Steve out there with any comment or anything like that, it's obvious. It obviously has to be like the worst thing ever. You're just like, and that, everybody says like stupid stuff, but the point that they go this low and they get this manipulative and are using all of this false, I hate the word, but false narrative, and cherry picking the words that they're using to try to represent it a certain way, just knowing that people aren't going to actually go in there and try to figure out like what that actually like says, but the fact I'm losing a little bit of respect here, because I can't believe he's that stupid. He put it there in black and white, that it could actually, if he is a practicing attorney, this could affect him. I don't know if he's practicing or not, but this could actually affect him at this point. That's just total misrepresentation. And everybody will say, oh, but it's Twitter. But no, he took a legal document there and made legal opinion on it, which is his profession. So that's something he's not supposed to do. He is actually speaking as a lawyer when he's doing this tweet. He is speaking as a lawyer. Is he not? Is he not representing? Yeah. Okay. That's a bar issue. Sorry. That's how I look at it. Somebody come correct me if I'm wrong. I'll listen. Come correct me if I'm wrong, that he's now crossed the line.
Well, he says that we're not addressing his points, or we're not going to look at the evidence. But there it is. We showed it. We looked at it. We looked exactly at it, when we looked and explained exactly what the fucking problem is. If he wants to rewrite it, I would actually challenge Nate to actually rewrite it, but actually show the documentation and actually use the specific terminology and see if and we'll compare. Still do it as a tweet thread. That's fine.
And Nate,
we'll
really
compare and see if they actually say the same thing or not.
Yeah.
You're a lawyer.
You know what these terms mean. Explain them to people. Tell them what they mean if you're not afraid that evidence doesn't show the opposite of what your client claims. Tell them what the words mean. Show us where ex parte does not mean what we think it
Debate me, bro. How about you actually take responsibility for your actions and address the criticisms and behavior instead of trying to deflect based on somebody's disability and deflect based on cause Steve.
Yeah, please stop.
Because Steve told and showed me I was wrong about atheism 6 years ago.
Stop beating us up with Steve. That's not an argument for you to back up what you say. That's no longer an argument.
Feline makes a fantastic point. Was it so hard for Nate to just send Feline the link to that Twitter thread?
That's it. He only had to link it once and it would have been done, right? She went and looked at it, and then there could have been another conversation later. But no, he'd rather do this.
He also could have put that link in his original tweet that had that feline was, this link isn't in this either.
Or at any time during that thread when it started to get crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
At any time. That's pretty simple.
Could have started with that. Might have helped you if you led with that. Actually, the problem is that he doesn't want feline to find or look at it or go through it or any of us to see it. Right? We're all blocked.
If you're not afraid of what it really said, and you're willing to back up that evidence, that August 11th tweet, you want to stand behind it, all of the leaving out of terminology that you did, all the leading with certain words and capitalization and inferring things. As a lawyer, giving lawyer opinion about what that document says, if you were so willing to back it up, why didn't you link it? Why? Like, why didn't you just tell her where it was?
I would love to see felines actually go through that, because it'd be far better than mine. Mine was just straight up picking on the dishonest nature of it. But anyway,
it was definitely skewing. It's just definitely skewing.
It's manipulation. It's obvious manipulation. Same reason why they're enabling and engaging in apologetics for ableism. It's the same shit.
So I will grant him one point. At some point during the month of August, he did try to present some evidence about the statement he later put out. A week or so later, he put out that other big statement,
which he didn't link back to.
But he didn't link. Okay, but he did at least have it somewhere on Twitter, and he said there was a statement that he made that he said it is out there. Yeah, we'll grant you that it's out there.
Yeah, there you go.
It's not what you said it was. It's not. It doesn't. For me,
it also doesn't address half of this. It also doesn't address half this shit.
It doesn't, and that's what I was just gonna say. For me, I'm not gonna speak for everybody else. So please, everybody else, go read it, and then read this and tell me.
You'll notice that he still hasn't linked it. We had to find it through someplace else, and
I need to go.
Where is your actual apology or shit in regards to taking responsibility for your behavior towards feline who didn't do anything rude to you whatsoever?
Right, and even if you don't feel you did something 100% appalling, we might. But if you even have the inclination that was the impression that you gave, you should be out there saying that's not what you meant. That's not the impression.
That's the same thing that instead of blaming Steve for people misreading what you actually meant to say, like what Unirog does, maybe you should actually just clarify and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean for that to come across like that. That's not what I meant. Here's what I meant." And do that instead.
Otherwise, you're supporting everybody else coming out there doing the same thing. Like,
you're just blaming Steve. Steve's fault.
No, it is not Steve's fault that you're supporting ableism right now by everybody who was on that tweet doing all that shit. You didn't correct them. You didn't say that that's not what you meant. We're going to give you a little tiny bit of grace here and say maybe you didn't mean to be slamming it that way. Yeah, you were picking a whole bunch of stuff and trying to stomp your feet. Like, they don't want to debate me because they're scared or whatever. And you were using whatever you could. But as soon as you knew that people were going to be going about ableism, that was your moment as a decent human being to correct the situation. Didn't even need an apology. It just needed that's not what I meant.
Oh, yeah, and that would mean that he would have to be...
That direction is wrong. You stop him from going that low, unless you're lower.
It means that you would also, though, expect him to... correct people when he said HRO, that HRO, and TRO is an HRO, but he's not going to do that. Feline sent us a clip.
And I understand it's probably asking too much for an apology because, that's not in his nature. He'd have to admit he did something wrong. Fine. You don't have to do that. But when something's wrong, when the situation is wrong, when ableism came into it, that's when he should have, it only makes him look bad that he didn't. He didn't have to apologize if he thinks he's not what he was saying. But he did have to clarify the issue so everybody else on that thread wasn't using it against her at that point. But no, he would seem to be quite happy that everybody was siding and just, going along. Well, he was
perfectly fine with the other ableist behavior that went on. You didn't see him correcting either.
And that's not right. That's why you're getting more blame for it, because you know better. You're not doing yourself any favor. That was your we all make mistakes. We all say the wrong thing. We put two words together that shouldn't be together, and it means something else. Whatever, And we're not telling you make a grandstand and go, apologize.
I'm actually not willing to grant him that charity because I tried to do that with Unirock, and then I found out that he was actually trying to insult me for being trans, as if being trans was an insult. when I said, hey, remember on Aaron's channel when we brought up that he was saying that my hair was transitioning?
I took it that way.
I said, hey, maybe that's not what he meant. Maybe he meant it this way.
You
Well,
did.
come to find out that now that after he's blamed Steve for misrepresenting what he said, turns out that other people who have been watching his content clarified to say, no, he's been calling you trans and not knowing whether, and saying he doesn't know whether you're a boy
Exactly.
or a girl for a while now. So yeah, no, I have to rescind that charity that I gave to Unirock and be like, well, guess he was being transphobic, and learning my lesson to stop giving these people even the slightest bit of charity, I'm going to go with Nate was being ableist, and he doesn't give a shit, and his behavior afterward demonstrates that he does not, in fact, give a shit.
Nope. And he had that opportunity to clarify it, and he didn't. No. What did they do? They doubled down. Just like they did in Aaron's stream the other day when they got called out for microaggression.
Show his whole ass.
They just come in there and they go, no, it wasn't micro. Here's my ass. Come look at it.
The smart thing for Nate to have responded, if Nate was going to respond to Feline, the smart thing for him to do would have been just to link that tweet and be like, actually, I went over my evidence here. Here you go. But the problem is Feline would have gone through it and been like, this is bullshit, and explained exactly why it's bullshit. And that wouldn't have looked so good now, would it have? Gotta detract, gotta run away, flee!
This whole thing just made it bigger for me. Like, I thought it was just going to be not wanting to show the evidence, but actually
I warned you.
I know you warned me. I know you did. I should have took 2 tranquilizers.
I do appreciate the assist though, because this is a lot, and I find that these things, it's a lot better to sort of look at it from more than one point of view, because if it was just me yelling about it, I'd have ran out of energy ages ago and just been like, no.
I wouldn't be there, because I know my voice gets a little high and I get a little about this, but you get tired of it. You get so damn tired. These are smart people. Well, maybe that's a lot of people won't agree with me, but I'm going to consider if they could put 2 sentences together, they're smart enough to know that this is not appropriate behavior. They can do better. And I don't know, maybe I'm an idiot. I do expect better. The people that can think and put 2 sentences together. I expect them to own up to their behavior. And even if they have an issue with, or any of us, right? When that kind of bullshit goes on, stop it. Call it out. Don't support that crap. Just.
You mean you shouldn't support harassment just because you don't like the person?
Yeah, you stop beating me with Steve. God damn it, all of you pricks. Stop.
There's another one too. There was that comment of that one person saying, oh my god, thanks for cutting through the bullshit, Nate. Thanks for not losing your integrity. Yeah, you can't lose integrity you never had, you piece of shit.
No, well, you know what? He can't, because it was already gone, because we just saw the tweet from August 11th where it all just laid out on the floor on Twitter. Like, that's where it was. That's where he left it, right?
Yeah.
Because that was, I'm sorry, that was a little purposeful. I'm reading it as if you've done it on purpose. I'm hoping that there'll be some correction. And, and if I'm wrong, please, lawyer,
I would need to see a little bit more effort than him just saying, oh no, I didn't do that on purpose. Here's what I meant. Because the damage has already been done. So to make up for that, you're going to have to actually start trying to undo the damage by, like, I don't know, maybe explaining to people that an HRO and a TRO are, like, a TRO is an HRO, but not but an HRO is also an RO, so you should actually rewrite your thread with the proper with a specific terminology.
Put the words that actually matter, that actually clarify what we're talking about in there, because you're purposely leaving them out so that this was the stream we did on Muddy Water.
He leaves out the he puts out harassment restraining order, but leaves out the ex parte half of that sentence. The same reason he says, oh, he said this guy's an honorable man, and you left out the other part of the sentence. Like they always do.
They do, because they're not explaining the process, that anyone can go and look and see what the actual process was and where they were in this process when all this happened. That matters. That is a huge part of the definitions that are being used, the terminology that is being used, and what actually happened. That actually adds credit to the facts. It makes the real story be told, instead of like this side wants to leave this word out, that side wants to leave that side. If you just go look at how that process is done, and it all.
I don't need to look. If you noticed on my Dumb Fact Friday, I don't leave out what people said. I display it on the screen. I put the whole thing there. I haven't left anything out.
And let us interpret it ourselves. Like where I'll say, well, maybe he doesn't want to, pick the ableism out. Like at first, it didn't look like he was actually being ableist until he actually came out and supported and was ableist, which I saw later. But the first tweet, you let me read it for myself, and I'm giving him a little charity. And then I had to take it away because I just doubled down and was a complete ass.
It reminds me of Keemstar when he's like, I gave you my support, Katie Joy Polson, when you were getting sued, because I've been sued, I've been there. But now I'm gonna have to take that back.
Because I am naive that way. I do want people to do better. And even though I've been watching this for 2 years and I see it's probably, a pie in the sky dream that they'll take a little baby step. I'm not saying own all of it. I'm just saying, when you see how bullshit crazy it got, instead of doubling down, could you join the human race again and remember you have a brain and two things, and you don't have to just support a hate train to make common sense, support what you're saying.
I would accept it, no mention, no apology, and actually just shut the fuck up. Actually just shut the fuck up.
I think that's too much.
You don't want Feline to talk about you? Shut the fuck up.
Well, that's like the people that say that they're getting harassed, but they say your name over and over and over again, but you're the one harassing them, and your name is all over the place, and they're tagging you, and they're talking to you, and they're addressing you, but you're the harasser. Fuck up.
You don't want people to criticize your coverage of Steve? Shut the fuck up.
There you go.
You don't want Steve to care about anything you have to say because you think he's obsessed with your success? I challenge you, shut the fuck up about Steve. And you show me if Steve ever fucking bothers to talk about you again if you shut the fuck up.
If he's so successful, why did he have to put that tweet out like that? Why does he have to
if he's so successful, why and Steve is such a bad guy, why would you have to misrepresent what was going on?
Yeah, I want to know, Mr. Professional, why do you care? Why do you care about this 2-year-old beef so much that could it be you got to keep doubling down because you're wrong?
And so many people were asking him.
I don't know.
Feline sent us an old Caffeine Corner episode, so I'm going to play a little bit and see what it is she wanted us to take a look at. Because, I'm not an ableist douchebag, and I don't tend to talk about shit that people don't want me to talk about. If I had brought this to Feline and Feline said, hey, listen, you know what, don't talk about this, it makes me uncomfortable, I wouldn't have talked about it.
Because it's her issue. Right, because she has the voice, right?
Yeah, and I don't want to speak for her. I'm addressing what I see going on from my own perspective. I'm not going to say Feline feels this way. I'm going to say, well, this is what Feline said. All right, I'm going to hit play.
Things don't exist in a vacuum, so we do have to take priors into account. But there are times we can say, look, I'll give you a tabula rasa. I'll give you a fresh start, and let's have a conversation based upon the argument. And let's see where it goes. And as soon as that argument starts getting straw manned rather than steel manned, I'll start losing principled charity. Or if they start using fallacies, or if they start making things personal. There's a huge difference between attacking the argument versus attacking a person. Huge difference.
You should start questioning somebody's motivations at that point. Because now you're talking about, now this is going to change per person. I've seen an intrigued feline. An intrigued feline is probably the most charitable person for any argument I have ever seen them interact with on Twitter. The most charitable you could possibly be continuously through the whole thing. It's amazing to watch, and I definitely recommend watching that kind of a discussion. It's quite fascinating and very well argued. So there's reasons to be charitable and there's reasons to drop it. Sometimes it's reasonable to be like, you're just doing this now. And where you're no longer giving them the principle of charity and you're saying, you are doing this.
I stand by that. If you look at Feline's conversation through even this situation where they're being pretty horrible to them, they're still being charitable. They're still trying to stick to the points. And notice how much they just wobbled around to not address the points, and while claiming that that Feline's trying to run away. Feline didn't go anywhere, guys.
Tried to shut her down on her own thread about her
own disability.
On her own disability, they're trying to shut her down. She couldn't even defend herself or ask a question about it, that just says a lot about people really not understanding what they're putting out there in general. I would hope they would take another look at all that stuff and just think about it. But, if it was me, I would, if somebody calls me out on something,
Yeah.
I'm going to look at it. I don't really expect to see it. But it would be nice if we could just get a clarification on what the hell they meant, because do you really want to be supporting ableism? Do you really want to be,
well, like I
silencing
said,
someone's voice?
this thread right here of watching this happen is actually pretty fucking disgusting.
The
manipulative bullshit that just goes on, banking that this Kelly person doesn't know the history and doesn't know what's going on, or look at how they represent that feline as somebody that they're completely not.
And this is just one of many,
Right.
and we saw several this week already on other issues, not just ableism, but misogynism, microaggression, just lowballing when you can't make a point, and you got to just hold there and,
all right,
go for whatever you can.
Any
Bad
last
haircut,
words?
Whatever, good haircut, talk about anything anybody does, as if it's your business. Like, why is it, if you have a point,
what does this have to do with your anything that anybody's saying? What does Steve have to do with whether or not you can demonstrate your claim over here? Why does, oh my god, Steve's bad man, so therefore I'm not going to do the thing? You could have just linked your tweet, asshole. Anyway, do you have any last words? You go ahead.
This is tiring. Just that I'd like to see better. I'm not going to hold my breath. I'll be dead. But I would like to see better. I really would like to hear from a lawyer if I'm wrong about the definition of the words that were left out and how that actually changed what I read. If I'm incorrect, please correct me, because I really feel strongly about this. This was on purpose, and this is offensive to common sense, to people that can read, and to professionals. And I would expect him to do better. And I think that he should have the consequences of this if he actually did this on purpose. Left those words out to make it appear something that it's not in his profession, to where he has his degree in law, and he did this on purpose as a lawyer. He should suffer lawyer consequences for it, because he's out here practicing lawyer in a very deceitful way, in my humble opinion. Please correct me if I'm wrong, a lawyer. I don't want to hear from anybody else. Please, the crew, don't come after me. You're not lawyers. I want to hear from a lawyer. Okay? I don't want to hear from his sycophants or, all the rest. I want to hear from somebody who can actually explain it to me, because I really want to know. I really want to know.
I'm curious to know what Nate is going to end up getting caught up in with the amount of legal stuff going on around Steve. I'm curious to see some of the DMs that might be getting pushed and released, depending on, because KJ said she wanted discovery, and so that goes both ways. So I'd be curious to see some of that.
I would be worried about it, actually, because
that's somebody was speculating. They were saying, like, why is Nate being like this all of a sudden? Like, this is kind of a little bit out of like, he always goes after Steve, but like, this is kind of a weird and very aggressive way that he's done it in this case. Usually he's very like roundabouty in the way he shits on people. But for him to be this aggressive is out of character.
They were hoping to get him on the thread to do something about it, because the other cases involve criminal things, okay? And that would be even a bigger issue for a lawyer practicing law outside of a lawyer's contract, Would it not? I don't know. I mean, that's just a layperson's term.
I've heard people speculating that perhaps Nate is worried, and so he's trying to shut shit down as much as possible.
How does this shut it down? This just makes it worse.
Well, it was an attempt, right? It was a failed attempt, but an attempt nonetheless. He's absolutely attempting to shut down Feline and any of Feline's criticisms.
Okay, if you don't want people to look at stuff.
And detract, like, they're trying to detract, right? They're trying to detract and say it's about this one, it's not. So
if you don't want us to look at it and ask the questions, don't put it out there. You sometimes people, and this comes from one of the people. I love to talk. Everybody knows I talk a lot. Okay. But sometimes if you're really trying not to make an issue, you need to stop talking. You need to shut up. You need to not make it an issue. in my opinion, that just got worse. That just got so much worse, and makes me want to know more.
This is such a serious dumb Fekk Friday. But at the same time, it's just absurd. This was dumb. This was dumb. This was stupid, and Nate is a fuck. And I think that's where we ought to end it.
I wish I could think of it that way, that this is just dumb. But no, now
it's
that
worse.
Yes, I can't. It's not just dumb. It's not just dumb because it happens all the time. This is just, I need further explanation. Like, I can't just leave this now. I need more. I want to talk to some lawyers. I need to know, like, what actually just happened here.
Well, hopefully this will spur a little bit more of a conversation, and hopefully this will kind of let people who maybe were on Twitter who were able to be gaslit in one way will get like a little bit of a clearer point of view on this. Because I will admit that I am biased. This guy's a dick waffle. This guy's been a dick waffle for a long time, and like quite obviously so. But on the other hand, you can easily, unlike some people, it's not that hard to separate out your distaste for somebody to show something for what it is.
At this point, I could not be said to be unbiased anymore, because since December, they have made me biased against them in their tactics.
That's fair.
But I still try to give them grace. If they're putting it out there in English and I can read it, then I will try. I'm trying, like use some punctuation and like, full sentences, people.
A for effort. I looked through it. I gave it a quick assessment. Hopefully that actually brings more attention to it, so people will actually be able to look at Nate's evidence and address it appropriately. But
please, because I'm just a layperson, and that's what I read.
And he wants people to address it. He wants people to look at it. He's complaining nobody's looking at it. Why is nobody looking at it? Maybe it's because I have everybody who might look at it and be critical blocked. Oh, wow.
You know what? Because most people, they don't care. They want to pick a side. They don't really want to take the time to think about it themselves. And I'm gonna go by what I read until somebody shows me otherwise. And it's not gonna be you, Nate. Don't bother, because you left it all out. I'm just not gonna trust you too much at this point. I might have if you addressed it yourself, but you're not willing to.
Nate's got a lot of people supporting him that after seeing this ought to be questioning him, and obviously questioning him publicly because they support him publicly. So I would like to see some movement on that.
I understand why they don't want to come out publicly and do it. Maybe just back away and just not like. He should not benefit.
Stop support. Yeah. There's a different. You don't have to like call him out publicly. You don't have to do this, that, or the other thing.
He shouldn't be benefit from them not wanting to get involved.
Stop supporting him, though, baby.
Yeah. If he's doing this kind of stuff, and what I'm looking at is total misrepresentation of his field, and I would be upset if I was a lawyer. Like, I would expect better, but I'm not saying they should do anything. I'm just saying he shouldn't be benefiting from this kind of bullshit, because.
Yeah, that's fair.
That was flagrant abuse of a position, putting your name behind something as if it was professional when it was a total unprofessional, poorly laid out, not legal, totally gaslighting type of presentation with a false narrative, twisting the words around, leaving stuff out. If we did this, if anybody else did this, they'd be all over it, right? Yep. Like they would be saying, but this word, but that word, but you're putting there in, like you did with the tweet. Because obviously, Intrigue doesn't know her own disability, because Steve said one word and she said another. So obviously there isn't one. It doesn't matter what he says about it.
I don't even necessarily recommend people go after Nate. I do recommend people speaking out against ableism. I don't necessarily, there's a difference between speaking out and being critical of Nate and going after him. This video isn't about going after Nate, but I can't not talk about something like this. This is abhorrent, and I don't think it's acceptable. And so I'm going to speak out that he publicly said this, and I publicly think this is not acceptable. Now, you can speak out about ableism without using Nate as an example, but if you speak out against ableism and use somebody else as an example, and then also support Nate publicly, you're talking out of both sides of your mouth.
Exactly. And he didn't stop it. He didn't clarify it. If it wasn't the case, he should have clarified it.
He continued it. He did it more, and he went into apologetics about it. So
yeah, he kind of doubled down about the whole thing, and that's just not, but they said that doesn't work. That's not an argument.
But Steve. Anyway,
that don't work for me anymore.
Yeah, let's get out of here. And
Yep.
at this point, if you're supporting Nate and you don't know about what he publicly does all over the place, you're negligent at this point. If you've been supporting him for any amount of time, let's get out of here. I'll see you guys probably next Friday for whatever the fuck comes across my desk that I'm
because
gonna
there's
be
definitely
upset
gonna be
about.
more. There'll
Of course
be more.
there is. I'm going to be working on finishing that video that sort of will help show you who actually supports and is tied to Nate, as he is clearly part of these Steve hate boner brigade. I don't know, whatever you want to call them. I like to call them the crazies, but we'll talk about that more in a video that will end up being a premiere. So join me for that when that gets scheduled, hopefully soon.
Okay.
Tomorrow is also... Oh, Aaron is coming by and Nikki is coming by. We have that time of the month happening tomorrow. So come by for that time of the month tomorrow. We're going to be talking about mask and vaccine mandates. We're going to be focusing on the mandate part. We're probably going to be talking about Florida. Claire, you have anything coming up?
This weekend I got Midnight Mayhem Saturday at midnight, and then on Sunday I've got a Black Mirror review of the episode Hated in the Nation.
Very
about
nice.
cyber assassin. I don't know.
Well, I appreciate you coming and helping me out with this, because this is a lot, and it got a little bit serious, which is kind of unfortunate for Dumb Fekk Friday, but I'm going to go ahead and say this is, that was a lot of dumb.
It was serious. It was serious. How could you
Right?
couldn't, You couldn't. There was no choice.
This is a Friday, this was some dumb, and Nate's a fuck. So we're going to get out of here.
There you go.
We'll see you guys next time.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.